What's up, y'all? Salute. Shout out to everybody in the building. Let me get my stuff together over here. What's up, Miss Pooh Bear? How you doing today? Hope all is well with you. Let's see what I'm looking like over here. Salute, salute, salute. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. Miss Pooh Bear, we in here. You know what I'm saying? The Republicans gave a speech today on the ACA, and so did the Democrats, guys. Shout out. What's up with it, sweet mate? You know what I'm saying? What's up, y'all? You know what I'm saying? My hair is most definitely up, man. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. But Mike Johnson and the Republicans, it says, Speaker Johnson toasts Trump's success despite inheriting Bidenomics. Bidenomics. See what they talking about. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. Most definitely get those likes up. We most definitely in the building, guys.
Morning, everybody. Hope y'all had a good weekend. Let me be clear and start off with saying that Democrats didn't just cause inflation. They lit the match, they watched it burn, and then
these are the Republicans, guys.
They buried families under regulations, spent trillions on pet projects, and railed against American paychecks to appease who? Their radical base. And Americans will never forget who did that, because we will continue to remind them. During 4 long years of Biden inflation, hardworking families actually did the right thing. They tightened their belts, they canceled vacations, they put groceries back on the conveyor belt, and they drained their savings just to keep the lights on. Because Bidenomics sent energy costs skyrocketing.
Bidenomics, Lord, they done made up a word.
And in those 4 years, let me just paint the picture for everybody. Home heating oil shot up 44%. Gasoline climbed 48%. Electricity costs went through the roof, rising 29%. And abundant American natural gas rose 27%. Those were under the 4 years during President Biden. That economic punishment crushed the American dream for millions of Americans. But there's actually good news. Thanks to President Trump and Republicans in Congress, the comeback is underway, and America loves a good comeback story. Now, it won't happen overnight. You don't rebuild a burned down home in one day. And after 4 years of economic arson, there's a lot to clean up. But House Republicans are here with the fire extinguisher.
101
we are
say
rebuilding
Let's
the economy
go. Double tap
that
that screen,
working
get the likes
families
up.
can afford, and so that working families can thrive again. This week, we're laser focused on passing legislation that actually lowers costs. And guess what?
Hey,
it's already working. Gas prices are at a 4-year low. Grocery prices are finally coming down, and wages are actually rising. And next year, Americans will see bigger paychecks because of the Working Families Tax Cut Acts. Remember, the Democrats voted and they wanted to give every single American
What's up, Jay Stevens?
a pay raise. Every single
vibes.
American, the Democrats voted to raise your taxes. Thank God Republicans voted to not let that happen. Last week, we cut red tape and peeled back Biden's burdensome regulations, and we're doing it again this week. This is all part of an agenda to lower costs and increase paychecks for hardworking families. Real reforms to roll back Washington's overreach and put the power back where it belongs, with the workers, with the families, and with actually the job creators. Government in Washington doesn't need more power. We actually believe that the power lies with the people, unlike the Democrats who want to tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. The Democrats believe they are a better steward of your money than you are. We don't believe that. That's why we're putting the power back in your hands. And what are Democrats doing? Again, you think they're gonna vote to lower costs? I don't think so. I think the Democrats will vote against giving you bigger paychecks. I think the Democrats will vote against relief for American families. They're fanning the flames of the crisis that they ignited, right? So we will continue our work without them. And watch how they vote, right? We will continue our work without them, because asking Democrats to fix inflation is like asking an arsonist to join the fire department. This week, we'll vote to lower electricity prices, secure supply chains, and modernize permitting to make energy more affordable again. Because House Republicans are cleaning up Bidenomics, ending Biden inflation, and restoring an America that is strong and respected again. We are restoring an America that is affordable and prosperous again for every single hardworking family. And another piece of important legislation that will be on the floor this week is the NDAA, and I don't think there's anyone better here to talk about it than a Representative Kiggins. So right now, I yield to Representative Kiggins.
Thank you. Well, good morning.
This is a press conference held by the Republicans, guys,
Virginia's
today.
2nd Congressional District. I'm also a Navy veteran, former helicopter pilot, a Navy spouse, and now a proud Navy mom. So it's certainly a privilege to be here today to talk about this year's National Defense Authorization Act, which should see a vote on the floor today. This is over $900 billion of money that we can send to our warfighters and to our military families. There's a large chunk of that's dedicated to ships, submarines, aircraft, the actual warfighting resources and tools that we need to just exemplify peace through strength throughout the world. That part can't be overstated. We've done so much with this administration just to reprioritize peace through strength. That's how we keep peace in the world, is by being that deterrent, by being that strong fighting force, but also taking care of our military families and our men and women in uniform. We did so much good work last Congress with the Quality of Life Task Force, and we continued that work into this year's NDAA. We looked at pay raises. We gave a 3.8% pay raise to our servicemen and women. We looked at housing. We put $1.5 billion back into housing infrastructure improvements. We know that there's a lot of room for improvement there, and I'm thankful that the Secretary of War has prioritized a task force to specifically look at where we are housing our men and women. We looked at child care. We have money specifically dedicated to new child care facilities. We looked at DoD education. We're pressing on DoDEA to look at things like no cell phones in schools that are on military installations. There's a lot of money in there for health care, that we want to make sure we're providing good health care for our men and women who serve and their families. We put other things in there for licensures to make it easy for providers to be able to serve our military community. And we even looked at things that were making it unifying the accession process, because we heard a lot of challenges with young people who want to serve, that they're being looked at differently for different types of medical history issues. So we changed those things. A lot of meaningful change. One of the things I'm most excited about is how we prioritize our military Sea Lift Command. In the Navy, you know, we don't have as many ships as we probably should, and we're working on that shipbuilding exercise. But in the meantime, I have my military Sea Lift Command folks who are stepping up, who are civilian partners and providing that peace through strength on the seas. And what we left them out a little bit of the discussion with quality of life issues. So we included them back this time. We took out pay caps for military Sea Lift Command pay. We made sure that our military Sea Lift Command members could shop at the commissaries and exchanges. We're protecting our commissaries, making sure that they are available and there for our military families. So a lot of good things to take care of the people who serve, but then also that technology integration piece, the contract awarding, the procurement acquisition reform. We've done many good things to the tune of over $900 billion. So it's a privilege to have been a part of the team that put that together. It's a mission that we all share here in Congress on both sides of the aisle, of taking care of our military and making sure we remain the greatest in the world. Thank you so much. And with that, thank you.
Fraud, and more fraud. It seems like every day there is a new discovery of stolen taxpayer dollars in my home state of Minnesota. And who is smack dab in the middle of it?
What's up, Jaquez?
The self-acknowledged liar, incompetent, failed governor, and failed vice presidential candidate Tim Walz. But with the world now watching, Walz can no longer hide from accountability. I want to thank President Trump and his
Let's get the
all-star
lights up, guys.
administration
Double tap
for
that
pursuing
screen.
justice for the hardworking taxpayers of my state of Minnesota. Secretary Noem, Secretary Bessent, Secretary Duffy, FBI Director Patel, Administrator Loeffler, Dr. Oz, Stephen Miller, Border Czar Tom Homan, and even more in the Trump administration have sounded the alarm and taken action finally. On behalf of the people of Minnesota, thank you. In addition to exposing and eliminating rampant waste, fraud, and abuse, President Trump and House Republicans are delivering on our promise to restore affordability and opportunity for the American people. With legislation to streamline permitting, unleash American energy, and increase opportunities for Americans to invest in their futures, we're working to lower costs, support American jobs, and spur business innovation. In particular, the nonpartisan INVEST Act, led by Congresswoman Ann Wagner, is going to cut bureaucratic red tape. It's going to empower small businesses in this country and entrepreneurs, and give Americans more freedom to invest, build wealth, and save for the future. This will be another great week for America First Wins. And with that, I yield to our leader.
My voters say boom.
Thank you, Whip, and really appreciate the work that the Whip has done.
Fly Rebel say lies, lies, and more lies.
About the fraud that was going on in Minnesota for years. It's finally getting, I think, more coverage, not as much as it deserves, but alarming that so much of that was going on right under the nose of Governor Walz, and the brutal waste of taxpayer dollars. We're going to continue, as President Trump is this week, to focus on affordability and lowering costs. You saw President Trump go to Pennsylvania yesterday to talk about a number of the things he's been working on in his administration and working with Congress to lower costs for families. But it's important to remind people what he inherited and what was going on in this country under the Biden administration for 4 years, when you saw prices skyrocketing, energy costs skyrocketing, interest rates skyrocketing, and Democrats in Congress never cared about any of that. They let it happen. They looked the other way over and over again. An open, porous southern border that President Trump not only said he would fix as a candidate, but now has fixed as President of the United States. And when he talks about the things that he's doing to lower inflation, we're finally seeing some relief. But we work.
Can we get the likes up, guys? Double tap that screen if you're on the mobile device, or click the 3 dots. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Let's get the likes up. You can double tap the screen if you're on the mobile device, or click the 3 dots and hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel. Thank you in advance.
We're going to continue working to lower costs for families. And it's something that is not only important to President Trump, it's important to this House majority. You know, we talked a lot about healthcare in these last few weeks here at this podium. But our committees have been working on very serious proposals, all focused on lowering costs for 100% of American families. While Democrats talk about less than 10% of the American people, we have been talking about what we can do to lower health premiums for 100% of American families, while also giving options to people who are trapped in unaffordable Care Act plans. Where Democrats want to keep them trapped, we want to give them options. And so we've been working and meeting with different caucuses within our conference for weeks. The committee chairs have been talking about the very specific bills. We've been meeting and getting ideas from a lot of our members who have great, passionate ideas on healthcare. The Doctors Caucus, doctors who practiced medicine in the private sector and then they came to Congress. They still have great ideas about how to restore the doctor-patient relationship that Obamacare broke. So many things about healthcare that the Affordable Care Act just destroyed, starting with the title of the bill. Nothing is affordable about the Affordable Care Act, and Republicans want to fix that. And so
they are never gonna agree on this Affordable Care Act, guys. That's crazy. Every day that's what it's been about, the Affordable Care Act, ever since the shutdown. They'll never agree.
We did today in our conference just a little while ago has had a really productive discussion about all those ideas that the committees have been working on, not just ideas, actual bills. And we are now focused on bringing a number of those bills to the floor next week that we have consensus on. There are still some areas that we don't have full agreement upon, and we're going to keep working on those. And we've committed to work on those early in the next year, but starting next week, voting in the House on bills that will focus on lowering premiums for 100% of Americans. Let's see where Democrats stand when it's not just giving money to insurance companies and propping up failed Obamacare plans, but actually helping 100% of Americans have better choices and lower healthcare premiums.
Dang, Kate.
So we're going to continue bringing bills to the floor that work on fixing problems that Democrats have created and delivering on the promises we made to the American people. And our champion, who is our lead person who is helping unify this very narrow Republican majority, but very effective Republican majority, is our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Thank you. Good morning. Our majority is narrow, but we were happy to add a new member this past week, and we've administered the oath now to Representative Matt Van Epps of Tennessee. You're really going to love him. He's a combat veteran and a dedicated husband and father, a very effective state official from Tennessee, and now he will be representing the folks of Nashville and 14 counties here, and we've added him to his committees this morning formally and officially, so he has hit the ground running. There is a lot going on here. We wanted to talk with you about some of those things this morning, and I'm so grateful for this leadership team for giving you the report so far, and for Representative Kiggins, who is an extraordinary member of Congress, as you know, a decorated veteran, and somebody who's so committed to our nation's defense and our military servicemen and women, and her expertise and all these things have been so greatly appreciated. We're glad to have her this morning. Now, look, we've had one of the most consequential, most productive, most successful Congresses in the history of this institution. The 119th Congress, in spite of those small margins, the Republican majority has been working in lockstep with the Republican majority in the Senate, even though that one's small as well, and of course with our strong Republican president and his administration. And the results of that cannot be questioned. And I see this false narrative right now, oh, they haven't done enough. Oh, pray tell. Listen, the Working Families Tax Cut, big beautiful bill, took about 6 months of the first part of this Congress to put together because it was so consequential and so comprehensive. And there are so many things in that bill that our members are going to be so excited to go and run on and talk about in the upcoming election cycle, because we inherited an absolute disaster from the Biden administration. Virtually every area of public policy was decimated, and we had to rebuild from the ground up in many of these places and make all sorts of changes and reforms to get America back again, and we did. And we put it all in this one landmark piece of legislation that will have consequences for generations, and it will be seen and written by history to be one of the biggest things that the Congress has ever achieved. And among those things was an approach to beginning this affordability agenda, because remember, we inherited massive inflation from the previous administration. It's no secret affordability is a flashpoint, right, in recent weeks, and we had 4 catastrophic years of Bidenomics that we inherited.
Bidenomics, they done made up a word.
And they attempted to tax and regulate their way to prosperity, and we all knew when they were doing it that it would not work. It had exactly the opposite effect. The result was inflation skyrocketed, gas prices reached record highs, homeownership declined, credit card debt increased, all those things that everybody felt and they're still feeling now. Now, the American people gave us a mandate in the election. The president won the Electoral College soundly. He won a big majority popular vote. We got the highest vote total for House Republicans in the history of this institution, and they charged us to go fix this. We began that process with a big, beautiful bill, and we have never let up on the accelerator. We keep it going day by day, week by week, notching away at this, trying to fix everything that the previous team broke. And now I wish we could flip a switch right after the election and make it all go away, make it all right. But you know that's not how the economy works. It takes some time to implement new policies and root out the bad things, and that's what's happening. It is a fact that the Biden administration and their Democrat enablers in Congress, we cannot forget, wrecked the U.S. economy. That's what happened. And we had to take it over in January. This is why Democrats' newfound claims about affordability are just patently absurd. Okay, here are the facts, and you know this. Many of you don't write about it, but these are the facts, and they're undisputed. They broke the economy, and now they want to lecture to the American people about affordability. They opened our borders, and now they want to lecture to the American people about immigration border enforcement. They broke the American healthcare system. They caused premiums to skyrocket. And now they have the audacity to tell Republicans that the only way to save it is to throw hundreds of billions of dollars to health insurance companies, which would merely fuel a system that is rife with fraud, waste, and abuse. You cannot be an arsonist and a firefighter at the same time. That's the message for the Democrats. Let's be very clear about one thing. When the Democrats talk about healthcare affordability, okay, this catchphrase that they have, they are talking about one thing and one thing only. They are talking about continuing handouts to big insurance companies. They have no ideas, they have no desire to fix the broken system they created. They just want to subsidize it. And subsidy is a big word. It means they're taking taxpayer dollars and funding a broken system. That is their entire affordability.
Oh, y'all believing what he's putting down?
This agenda does not lower healthcare costs. All it does is hide the cost of the failed law, which we assume is the point. And their proposal, which is a 3-year extension of these enhanced subsidies, the Democrat COVID subsidies that they created, that they put the expiration date on for this December, that proposal to extend that for 3 years is devoid of any reforms to clamp down on the rampant waste, fraud, and abuse. And it continues to provide taxpayer-subsidized health care to Americans who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars in annual salary. It doesn't make any sense. Now, you heard Whip Emmer and Leader Scalise reference the massive fraud that's just been uncovered in the last week or so.
Okay, somebody said they believe.
We know that this has been going on around the country in these deep blue states, and now the evidence is starting to come forward. It's staggering. It should upset. It should anger every American. This is where their dollars are being wasted and abused. A new report by the Government Accountability Office, which I haven't seen too much written about yet, you should look into that. It is an eye-opener as well. It makes clear why it would be a dereliction of duty to just extend subsidies without massive reforms to them. Okay, over the last 2 years, this is investigators at the Government Accountability Office. Okay, they submitted 24 fraudulent applications for the ACA subsidies, the Unaffordable Care Act subsidies, Obamacare. Okay, of the 24 fraudulent applications that they created intentionally to just see what would happen, 23 of them were approved. These applications were completely fraudulent. The investigators did not submit any Social Security numbers, citizenship documentation, or reported income.
If you have not, take time to double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, guys, or click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner and hit that thumbs up. Let's get the likes up past 100. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Documents. And 23 of the 24 applications were still approved. 18 of those, by the way, are still receiving coverages they were as of September of this year. That means the Obamacare exchange and insurers didn't verify any of the information they were supposed to under the law, and they proceeded to pay tens of thousands of dollars to insurance companies for people who do not exist. Okay? The GAO report also found that 29,000 Social Security numbers in 2023 and 68,000 in 2024 were used to receive more than 1 year's worth of insurance coverage. In other words, multiple people were utilizing the same Social Security numbers to openly defraud the American taxpayers. The GAO also found that more than $94 million was sent to insurers on behalf of dead people. Okay? This is the system that Democrats in Congress want to extend without reform. It's unbelievable. Listen, these are undisputed facts. The Democrats broke America's healthcare system when they gave us the Unaffordable Care Act, Obamacare, 15 years ago. Remember all the promises? Some of y'all were here.
Y'all keep blaming the Democrats. Oh, they broke it. Oh, the Democrats broke it. The Democrats say the Republicans broke it. How about y'all come together and fix it? How about that?
The average premium and the average family is going to go down $2,500 a year. You're going to be able to keep your doctor. You're going to love this system. None of that was true. In fact, it's the opposite. And premiums have risen because they broke the system dramatically over that time. In some areas, as much as 70%, and some over 90%. And those things are still on a trajectory to rise further. Now, what are we going to do about that? The Democrats had a chance to vote to make life more affordable earlier this year in the Working Families Tax Cut, big beautiful bill, and they blew it. The House version of the bill, you may remember, included cost-sharing reductions. We passed that out of the House, we sent it to the Senate, and what that would have done is would have lowered premiums for the average American family by over 12%. Democrats fought to strip that out of the bill. Every American watching today should remember that. The Democrats had a chance to actually lower your premium 6 months ago, but they refused because they wanted to keep health care as a political football. They do not want a solution. They want an issue. That's what this is about. They use the American taxpayers, they admitted themselves during the longest shutdown in U.S. history a few weeks back, as leverage in this cynical political game. So in the coming days, what you're going to see is the other party, the Republican Party, continuing to do the important work that we've already begun to actually lower the cost of health care and reduce fraud, and we hope Democrats will join us in those efforts. There are two parties in this town. One has no intention and no plan and no desire to lower your healthcare costs. They really haven't put any good idea on the table. They just want to subsidize a broken system. Check them on that. The Republican Party, on the other hand, is already demonstrating that we know how to do this. We're not just talking about it, we've done it. In the Working Families Tax Cut, you will remember, in the Medicaid reforms, we went after program integrity. We didn't change the substance of Medicaid, as they've claimed falsely. We went to program integrity. Why? Because we owed that to the American taxpayers. We got ineligible recipients off of Medicaid, and we cut out the fraud, waste, and abuse. And the CBO said they calculated it saved $185 billion for American taxpayers.
We need 40 more likes, guys. Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device. So click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. We 40 away from 100. Let's get the likes up.
And reduced premiums. We reformed it to strengthen Medicaid. Those same principles are going to guide us in the months, in the weeks, the days and weeks and months forward. As Leader Scalise noted, we have some low-hanging fruit. We have some things that every Republican agrees to. Democrats won't. Remember, they don't actually want to fix this problem. But you're going to see a package come together that will be on the floor next week that will actually reduce premiums for 100% of Americans who are on health insurance, not just the 7%. Remember, the COVID-era subsidy only covers 7% of Americans, and it was passed and extended without any reforms at all. It would only reduce their premiums by 4%. So they're using that as a red herring. The overall system is broken, and we're the ones that are going to fix it. You will see that laid out. Thanks to the good work of Chairman Cole and all of our appropriators, we have our appropriations process that will be going forward as well. We're moving those through the regular order process, and that's the way it's supposed to work. And you'll see many of those going through the process, and we think we can get it all wrapped up by the end of that deadline on January 30th. And you'll see that process continue over the days and weeks ahead as well. I would say this again, this Congress has been the most productive and successful in the modern era, and I think you can make an argument one of the top 5 of all time. You've heard me say that. Look at the evidence and the facts, don't listen to the talking points. This team has delivered with small margins what the American people asked us to do, and what we promised we would do. And that work has just begun. It will continue in earnest all the way through the end of this year, as we sprint through the end of this calendar year, and we start the new session in January. We never let take our foot off the gas. So with that, take a few questions.
Speaker Johnson, do you intend to advance pro-life provisions in your health care package, such as Hyde amendments for whatever you advance?
Well, look, it's an important principle the Republicans always stand by, the Hyde provisions. It's been a tradition in our law forever. We do believe in the sanctity of human life, and we think it's important that taxpayer dollars not fund abortion. I mean, this is a well-settled principle of ours. So this week, as we go forward, we're gonna do a lot of things on the floor, and we always keep our fundamental principles in mind. Let me tell you just some of these things this week. I mean, some of this has been mentioned, but real substantive things come to the floor. We passed legislation last week to keep the CCP out of your children's classrooms and to cut costly red tape for small businesses. This week, you're going to have the NDAA on the floor, as Representative Kiggins has talked about, building on historic investments that we included in the Working Families Tax Cut to advance President Trump's Peace Through Strength agenda. By the way, I want to just tell you, before somebody's going to ask about these provisions, this legislation, the NDAA, codifies 15 of President Trump's executive orders, as the leader mentioned, provides a well-deserved pay raise for our troops. It advances the Golden Dome. It revitalizes our defense industrial base. It ends woke ideology at the Pentagon, and it keeps the border secure. And it's the product of months of work by Chairman Rogers and our House Armed Services Committee with Representative Kiggins and all the colleagues there. We thank them for their efforts. And this week we're also going to have legislation to streamline permitting processes, accelerate permitting approvals, as Chairwoman McLean discussed, strengthen our electric supply chain and many other things. What you're not going to see, though, what you're not going to see is the dreaded Christmas omnibus, right? Because we broke that fever, and I'm so proud of that. For 3 consecutive years, Republicans have avoided the bloated end-of-the-year Christmas omnibus. We've broken that tradition, and we're not turning back. Those are the things you're going to see as we advance our core principles and we stick to the traditions of what we've done for the taxpayers and for the citizens of this country.
After the Gang of 8 briefing that you had yesterday, what makes this video of a second strike on a suspected drug vote different from the other videos the administration has voluntarily released? And do you support...
All right, so now they asked him about the boat strikes, guys. Y'all know P. Hexelf been under fire. Let's see what he had to say.
After the Gang of 8 briefing that you had yesterday, what makes this video of a second strike on a suspected drug vote different from the other videos the administration has voluntarily released? And do you support all members of your conference being able to see it?
My admission here is I was not in the Gang of 8 briefing yesterday because we were working on the healthcare stuff, and it was timed at exactly the same time as we had our 5 families, all of our caucus meetings, and I told Secretary Hexeth and Secretary Rubio I wouldn't make it, so they're going to meet with me individually, so I have not yet seen that. But I will tell you that they have obviously shown that video to the Gang of 8, and I think members of the House Armed Services Committee and the Senate Armed Services Committee. So you have to ask the question to them, so we'll see. Yes, yes, sir. Second row, yes, sir.
Can I get your thoughts on Jasmine Crockett's run for Senate? What does it say about the state of the Democratic Party? And do you feel worried about her chances of winning at all?
I'm absolutely delighted that Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in Texas. I think it's one of the greatest things that's happened to the Republican Party in a long, long time. She is the face of the Democratic Party, she and Mamdani. Good luck with that. I want her to have the largest, loudest microphone that she can every single day. And we look forward to having that election down there. We are going to elect another Republican senator in Texas. Texas is a red state. People of Texas are common sense Americans, and what Jasmine is trying to sell will not be purchased by the folks of Texas.
Why are you Johnson?
Oh, wow.
When will you be meeting with...
He said what Jasmine is trying to sell will not be purchased by the people of Texas, guys. Wow. I'm just saying. That was Mike Johnson and the Republicans basically speaking on the health care, guys. You can't ever have the Republicans without having the Democrats. Let's see what they had to say.
Lift up the audio.
Have them here. We're here today because Donald Trump and House Republicans are failing the American people. They're failing to address the healthcare crisis that they've created. They're failing to lower costs, and they're failing to make life more affordable for hardworking Americans. Families are struggling to get by, yet Republicans continue to be more focused on building on the bidding of their billionaire class friends than helping people that they...
Can we get 16 more people on that like button, guys? We need the likes over 100. Double tap that screen. We over 400 in the building. Only got 85 likes. Let's get the likes up, guys. If you're on a mobile device, double tap the screen or click those 3 dots in the right-hand corner. Hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel. We ain't asked you for no money. We asked you to hit the like button. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new.
Represent. Ahead of the holidays, Americans are seeing prices go up for gifts and groceries, and the family gatherings that they are planning are becoming more expensive. On top of that, Republicans have no real plan to ensure Americans' healthcare premiums don't skyrocket before the end of the year. They highlighted that and stood for that even just moments ago. For months, House Democrats have been sounding the alarm that Republicans need to work with us on extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits to keep health care costs low for American families. And we put forward a plan that has the support of every single member of the Democratic caucus. We only need 4 Republicans to join with us in signing a discharge petition to prevent the American people from losing their health care coverage. Because we know when people don't have health care coverage, they don't stop getting sick. They don't stop needing medication. They don't stop needing to take their kids to the doctor. If they can't afford to go to the doctor, they won't see one or they'll go to the emergency room, which is the highest cost, most expensive way to get care and limits our already burdened healthcare system. Which Republicans will be brave enough to join us? We just don't know. The American people can't afford inaction from Republicans, and it's time that they put politics aside and do the right thing. Lower costs, save healthcare, put the American people first. Now turn it over to Vice Chair Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar, and I am so honored to be here today with two of our amazing freshmen, Shamari Figures and Sarah McBride. I also want to note that we had an election yesterday in America, and I want to congratulate Eric Gisler in Georgia for flipping a state House district. And just to give you some context, Democrats lost that district last term by 22 points. He won it last night. And I want to congratulate Eileen Higgins, the incoming mayor of Miami. She flipped that seat from red to blue, and she overperformed by 20 points. She is the first Democrat in nearly 30 years who's going to be mayor of Miami. And I dare Florida Republicans to try mid-decade redistricting, because we're going to win the seats that you have to weaken among Republican incumbents if you try this. Now, we have an affordability crisis in America. Electricity costs are surging, grocery prices continue to increase, and healthcare costs are skyrocketing. What is the President of the United States focused on? I'm just going to read you one of his many posts on social media. This one was from 2 days ago. The only reason Marjorie Taylor Brown, green turns brown under stress, went bad is that she was jilted by the President of the United States. Certainly not the first time she has been jilted. Too much work, not enough time, and her ideas are now really bad. She sort of reminds me of a rotten apple. Marjorie is not America First or MAGA because nobody could have changed her views so fast, and her new views are those of a very dumb person. That was proven last night when washed-up Trump-hating 60 Minutes correspondent Leslie Stahl, who still owes me an apology from when she attacked me on the show with serious conviction that Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was produced by Russia, not Hunter himself, totally proven wrong, interviewed a very poorly prepared traitor who in her confusion made many really stupid statements. My real problem with the show, however, wasn't the low IQ traitor. It was that the new ownership of 60 Minutes Paramount would allow a show like this to air. They are no better than the old ownership who just paid me millions of dollars for fake reporting about your favorite president, me. Since they brought it, 60 Minutes has actually gotten worse. Oh well, far worse things had happened. P.S. I hereby demand a complete and total apology, though far too late to be meaningful, from Leslie Stahl in 60 Minutes for incorrect and libelous statements about Hunter's laptop, President DJT. Oh, now it's my great honor to introduce an amazing freshman from Alabama, the great Representative Shamari Figures.
He read what Trump said and moved out the way.
Thank you, Congressman Lieu. Look, we're in the middle of a healthcare crisis, and the stakes could not be higher. Millions of Americans rely on healthcare subsidies to be able to afford coverage, and 50,000 of those Americans are located in my district in Alabama. And it's not just a talking point back home. This is real life for people. I represent one of the poorest districts in the country. The individual median income in my district is just north of $32,000. To say that another way, 50% of the wage earners in my district earn less than $32,000. And so when we talk about 50,000 people's healthcare premiums on average increasing by a little more than double in a district where the income is just north of $32,000 on average, it's more than a talking point. It's something that hits people in real ways in real life. It's not something people can afford. And beyond the personal side of it, my district as a whole is one of the worst for healthcare access and outcomes in the country. I have 13 counties in my district. You can only deliver babies in 2 of the 13. 10 of the 13 counties either have hospitals that have closed, are in the process of converting to REHs so they don't close, or are on literal financial life support under the threat of closure. And by the way, the largest hospital in my state capital of Montgomery, which I also represent, which is one of only 2 hospitals in that county, is in the middle of a bankruptcy. And so healthcare access is something that is deeply personal to my district, and to make the cost of healthcare unaffordable for people, completely unaffordable. To put it completely out of reach for people is something that is irresponsible and something that we have the ability to be able to stop, because it's going to put more stress on the hospitals that we still have. And people are going to continue to suffer some of the worst healthcare outcomes, because all of that I just said is all in a district that has the third lowest life expectancy in America. And so this is something that we have to get Republicans on board to fix. We just need a few. We just need a few to join us to do the right thing. We need a few to step up to the plate, to show that they understand and they know that supporting life doesn't end at birth. It is something that we can do and something that we need to do here in Congress to make sure that the American people, in the richest nation that the world has ever known, that healthcare coverage, healthcare access is not something that is a luxury that is only available to the wealthy, and something that is only available to the few. And so I am proud to stand here with my colleagues to bring up this issue once again, yet again, something that we have been pressuring now for since I've been here in Congress for the better part of the last 10 or 11 months, but something that obviously Democrats have been pushing for decades. And we're going to continue to wave this flag. We're going to continue to beat this drum. We're going to continue to do this on behalf of the constituents in Alabama's 2nd Congressional District and those across this country, because it's the right thing to do. And with that, I'll turn it over to Representative Sarah McBride.
Thank you so much to my fellow freshman representative figures, and thank you so much, Chair Aguilar and Vice Chair Liu, for inviting us today. Across Delaware and around the country, families are being hit from every direction. At the grocery store, at the pharmacy, and of course now in their healthcare premiums. In 2024, Donald Trump promised the American people that he would lower costs on day one. But we all know that whether it's his business partners, people who worked for him, or the American people, the one through line throughout Donald Trump's life is that he has never met a promise that he was not willing to break. Because 1 year into the second Trump presidency, all we have are a litany of broken promises and billionaire tax breaks. This affordability crisis is not a hoax. It is a choice by congressional Republicans and by Donald Trump. A choice to impose a tariff tax on small businesses and consumers. A choice to cut food assistance. And a choice to insert a $1 trillion bomb into the center of the American healthcare system. That bomb is now going off. Premiums are skyrocketing. The largest cut to Medicaid in American history is on the horizon. Rural hospitals and doctors' offices are already closing. Trump Care has arrived, and it is dangerous and it is deadly. I hear it every single day back in Delaware. Dave, a constituent of mine in Newcastle, pays $350 a month right now for his wife's Marketplace plan. Next year, without the ACA tax credits, those premiums will jump to $1,200 a month. His wife lives with a disabling spinal condition, diabetes, hypertension, depression, and takes dozens of daily medications. Without this tax credit, they will lose their coverage that is keeping his wife alive. People like Dave are doing everything right, but Republicans in Congress continue to fail them. It's not too late for my Republican colleagues to do the right thing, to make a different choice. As has been mentioned, we only need 4 Republicans in Congress to demonstrate courage on behalf of their constituents by signing this discharge petition to force an up or down vote on protecting care. But I'm not going to hold my breath, because while we are freshmen, while we are new, what has become abundantly clear to us in the last 11 months is the only thing that congressional Republicans are more loyal to than Donald Trump is to cutting the healthcare of the American people. Imagine winning those elections, getting all of that power, and spending all of your political capital on kicking millions of people off their coverage and jacking up healthcare prices for everyone else. People deserve so much better than what congressional Republicans and Donald Trump have offered them. I ran for office after my experience as a caregiver to my husband during his battle with terminal cancer. And I simply do not believe that in the wealthiest nation on earth, any American should have to go without the health care that they need to live and thrive. And so long as there is air in our lungs and breath in our bodies, House Democrats will fight for an America where every single American can get the health care they need, regardless of where they live and regardless of who they voted for in the last election. And so with that, I'll turn things back over to Chair Aguilar to answer any questions.
Thank you, Representative McBride and Representative Figures. Andrew?
Think of Haley Stevens introducing articles of impeachment against Robert Kennedy.
I think that what Robert Kennedy Jr. has done to the healthcare system, what he stands for, his latest support for decisions that reduce Americans' access to vaccines are deeply troubling from a public health perspective. I understand that members have frustrations and concerns about it. I don't know how successful those measures would be in a Republican-held Congress, but I appreciate that members have a lot of views on this and want to hold the Secretary accountable. He is someone who is an impediment to Americans having health security. I think that's very clear, and the day for accountability will come. I don't know when that is, but the day for accountability for the Secretary and many others of the President's administration will come. We'll see what that looks like, though. Nick?
I want to ask about the NDAA. Do you expect to support final passage of that bill whenever it comes up later today?
We'll see when it comes up. They got to pass the rule first. I think they're having some difficulty with that. If it comes up, well, we've had a caucus conversation this morning. Adam Smith presented the bill to the caucus, and members will make their decisions. I'll wait until the rule passes, and then I'll indicate where I stand on the bill.
This NDAA has a provision in there requiring the Department of Defense to release the video of the strike on the Venezuelan boat, particularly their second strike.
Except under fire, man. They steady asking about these boat strikes.
Killed 2 defenseless shipwreck survivors. And if the Pentagon doesn't do that, then the Secretary of Defense's travel budget will be reduced. So you have now bipartisan support to get this video released. And we need to be asking, the American people will be asking, what is Pete Hegseth hiding?
So to the people, do y'all want to see the video of the second airstrike where they allegedly took out the 2 survivors? Because on both sides, they saying that the people deserve to see it pretty much. Even some Republicans said that the people deserve to see it and make their own minds up. So do y'all want to see that video? Let me know.
Michael?
President Trump,
they say yes.
Pennsylvania last night.
I want to see it just cause. Green healthcare does not rely on subsidies. Okay, I see y'all.
Policies pushing back on Democrats' criticism of his role in the affordability crisis. Republicans believe that the more he's out there, the better it is for them and their voters to hear from the president.
Paul said no.
Do you believe the more that President Trump is out there, that it's advantageous to the case that you all are making about the affordability?
Cupcakes, I don't know.
And a con, and just what do you?
No, I do not. So it's some of y'all that want to see it and some of y'all that don't.
A little bit more speaking about his agenda and kind of looking to rebut some of the criticisms that you all have waged against him on the affordability crisis.
Sometimes it's a long 16 blocks from Capitol Hill to the White House. Clearly, it's taken the president quite a long time to understand the affordability crisis that we're in. I think the event yesterday was one of the first I've seen that the president wasn't attending a sporting event or something else. But saying that the economy is A+++, calling the affordability crisis a hoax, these are things that the American people just know aren't true. He's lying. House Republicans are lying. They know that. They know that the affordability crisis is at their doorstep. They know it is more difficult to live under the Trump economy than it was previously, and they're holding him accountable. And that's coming through, not just in public polling, but it's coming through in our elections.
13 months
in every
in the
election that we've seen, special elections from last night to Iowa months and months ago to everything in between, New Jersey, Virginia, Mississippi, Georgia. I mean, all of these Republicans continue to underperform because they have no real solutions. They won't solve the affordability crisis. They're only making it worse. And the American people are smart enough to know that. So I don't think that there's anything that the president can do, because clearly every time he gets in front of a microphone, he's saying something that is an outright lie, and the American people know it. So I don't have any problem with him continuing to go out
the American people
around
feel
the country
like all of
and
y'all
talk
are
about
lying.
this, because the polling clearly shows that folks aren't paying attention and that they know better.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep. Sarah, then Ted.
Just a couple of things. First of all, the idea that the American people aren't hearing enough from Donald Trump right now beggars belief. I think everyone in this country hears enough from Donald Trump, and having him go out on the road and stand in front of a sign that says affordability isn't changing that.
Ms. Danita.
It also doesn't change the fact that they have no plan to tackle the affordability crisis, and that Donald Trump himself has continued to deny this crisis, calling it a hoax. I think his handlers in the White House are making the same mistake that his handlers in Trump 1 made, which is thinking that they can put together these events and keep this president on message in the way that they want him to be on message. He is always going to speak what he believes, and what he clearly believes right now is that he's doing a great job, that prices are fine, that the economy is working well, and that everyone should just go along and get along.
Thank you. I strongly support President Trump going on the road. Even though he is old and weak and has trouble staying awake at cabinet meetings, I am begging the White House to please send Donald Trump to every swing House district. Many people say that Congressman David Valadao in California would love to have Donald Trump visit. Donald Trump can talk about how tariffs are helping the farmers. He could talk about how the racial profiling by ICE is helping Valadao's constituents. And he could talk about how the Medicaid cuts are owning the libs in David Valadao's district. I would love for Donald Trump to go to every House swing district.
I think that sums it up. Yeah.
Have any members of House Democratic leadership talked to the GOP leadership in the House about the healthcare vote? Why do you think they're staying strong on their argument? Because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of flexibility on there.
I can't speak for other members of the leadership
team. I can speak for myself. I haven't had any conversations with House Republicans. They continue to recycle old priorities, the priorities that they laid out today in their conference meeting and in front of all of you previously, are all old ideas, 10, 15-year-old ideas that reflect where Republicans are, that basically say if you have money, you can put some money aside to help
with your health care. It does nothing to address the millions of people in Alabama's 2nd district who are losing their health care, and around the country. Democrats are fighting for them. They're fighting for people to keep their health care, and none of the ideas that Republicans put out today move the needle to actually help the American people keep the health care that they have.
Can I just say something? I'm sorry. Just briefly on that, with regard to the Republican conference's proposals, quote unquote, on the healthcare affordability crisis, the one that they created, this is like an arsonist setting fire to a house and then bringing a garden hose to try to put out a 5-alarm fire. These are no solutions to actually grapple with the healthcare crisis that they created. The Republican healthcare plan was the big ugly bill. The Republican healthcare plan is Trump Care, which we are living under right now. The largest cut to Medicaid in American history, a massive cut to Medicare in action, letting the ACA tax credits expire. That is the Republican healthcare plan, and that has been the Republican healthcare plan for decades. Because every single step of the way, Republicans in Congress have tried to prevent progress in expanding access to healthcare and have tried to cut healthcare for the American people. And it certainly stands in stark contrast to our proposals, to extending the Affordable Care Act tax credit, to expanding Medicaid, to improving Medicare, and to guarantee that every single American can get health care without breaking the bank.
In the middle of this affordability crisis, there is growing concern that the construction of these AI data centers in rural communities specifically could be increasing the cost of utilities like water and electricity. Do Democrats see this as a priority? And if so, is there any bipartisan consensus that this needs to be addressed?
Democrats see rising utility costs under this Republican administration as a priority. We see the data, we see the numbers go up. Vice Chair Lieu, I'll let speak, is convening some stakeholders to speak with members of the Democratic caucus on these issues. We think rising utility costs are a concern for the American people. One of the first things the administration did was to gut any renewable energy proposals that the previous administration had in place that would have diversified our energy, would have lowered costs, made significant investments, those types of things. And his opposition to an all of the above strategy really harms the American people and is going to continue to rise their costs unless we address it. And Democrats have ideas and strategies on how to do that. But we're going to need to ensure that we have the gavels in order to deliver on that.
Sure. There are a number of reasons why electricity costs are surging under the Trump administration, outpacing inflation. The tariffs, for example, do increase the prices of many products, some of which these utilities do use. In addition, the Trump administration canceled a number of green energy projects. And when you reduce the supply of energy available, you're going to drive up costs. And yes, it's also true that AI data centers also do use a similar amount of electricity. And when you take this in combination, you have electric costs surging. And again, what is Donald Trump doing? He's simply rage tweeting on his social media posts and saying batshit crazy things.
Speaker Johnson today said that Jasmine Crockett running for Senate is the greatest thing that happened to the Republican Party. The Republicans have
All right, they asked them about what Johnson said, guys.
People in the Democratic Party, we saw it with Mamdani during the shutdown.
About Jasmine Crockett.
Do you have a reaction to these comments that they're making?
I think Speaker Johnson is trying to do anything he can to distract from the majority that he's seen, that we see dwindling, and it's like sand falling through his hands. He just can't keep a hold of it. He sees that. He would much rather talk about a Senate race than he would the Georgia House races that Republicans lost, or the mayor's race that the vice chair mentioned, first time in 30 years that a Democrat has been mayor of Miami. He wants to distract and take away from this because he's losing his grip on his majority. That much is very clear. So the more that Speaker Johnson wants to talk about the national landscape and the Senate environment, I absolutely support, because he's losing his majority next November, if not sooner. Mike in the back.
Thank you. On the ACA subsidies, yesterday we saw yet another plan to extend them 2 years, not the 3 years you want, and it's got some eligibility limits and some HSA promotion language in there. But it does have the advantage of being bipartisan. Jared Golden's on it, Tom Suozzi, a couple others. Do you see a scenario where if the option is no extension of subsidies, or you guys have to swallow a shorter window and some of the reforms that you don't like, but do you see a scenario?
Thank you, amazingly beautiful.
Actually get something done. No one has signed on to your discharge petition from the Republican Party.
We want to help the American people. We want to pass laws that help the American people. The House and Senate, Democrats both have the 3-year proposals that you mentioned. There's 2-year proposals. There's 1-year proposals that are bipartisan. I understand that. We're not negotiating, here in this room. Let's see what the vote totals, look like. I don't anticipate that either of the Senate proposals has 60 votes. Democrats have said we'll go anywhere, we'll talk to anyone if it delivers support, if it supports our health care for the American people. that is our policy. We feel that the 3-year proposal is the best, fastest, most certain way in order to do that. But we're willing to have conversations, and members are having conversations as you see with that outline. And we support members having those conversations. Right now, let's see where the vote totals are. That group is growing. It is bipartisan, as you mentioned, but it is nowhere near the 200 plus members that we have on our bill right now. So let's give it some space and some time. But our focus, our North Star, is always going to be, how do we deliver the most help to the most people? And that's what it will continue to be. Shamar? Yeah, Shamar.
And I'll add to that, in the lead up to and during the shutdown process, the one message that was consistent coming out of the Democratic caucus was, come and talk to me. Meet us at the table. Let's discuss a way to keep healthcare affordable for millions of people. The fact that we're even getting to the point now where there are bipartisan solutions, I think, is an outcome, or bipartisan proposals, rather, is an outcome of that messaging and of that belief and of the strategy of Democrats to be willing and open. It's not even a strategy, it's a core principle, right? Just come to, like, we all got elected to Congress to come here to try to hash out different deals in different ways where we understand we won't get everything we want. They understand they won't get everything they want, but we should be able to come together as adults in a room and come up with solutions that literally will save lives in this case. That is so drastically necessary. So I think, that is progress that we're seeing those sorts of offers on the table. And I think it's progress that's been driven by the leadership of the Democratic caucus and the position of Democratic members of Congress.
One of the things that it also speaks to is, where is Speaker Johnson, on this? His members are clearly speaking out against him by supporting these bills, 1-year, 2-year bills. He is nowhere to be seen. That's why discharge petitions happen. That's why discharge petitions have been successful, is because he cannot lead a group. He cannot keep them on the same page, because they know his North Star is how to decimate the ACA and hurt the American public, and they know that that's not popular. They're just waking up to it, and they are trying to do something to send a message to their communities that they're aware of it after they voted.
So Kathy said, did you guys know Speaker Johnson and 20 Republicans are leaving as of January, allegedly? We didn't know that. I haven't heard anything about that. Anybody else heard anything about that? Allegedly Johnson and 20 other Republicans are leaving? I ain't heard that.
For the largest Medicaid cut and healthcare cut in American history.
Well, a quick follow then, if I could, because Mike Johnson is not going to bring the Fitzpatrick bill to the floor because, as you say, he doesn't support the subsidies that you do. But Fitzpatrick would need Democrats to sign the discharge petition to force it around Mike Johnson. Would you guys be willing to sign the discharge petition if the 3-year plan doesn't reach the 218 threshold?
Look, let's see what the 3-year plan delivers on the discharge side. I haven't heard specifically if Congressman Fitzpatrick and the other Democratic sponsors are ready to discharge their bill. So there's a couple steps here before we get to that point. But like Shamari said, look, the American people know that the Democratic Party supports healthcare. We want to deliver support to as many people as we can to avoid this catastrophic cliff that Republicans have created. Unfortunately, Republican leadership doesn't want to meet with us or talk with us about it. So we'll see what the member-to-member conversations will yield. Last question.
On the video of the boat strike, Representative Mike Rogers announced the investigation in the Armed Services Committee has concluded. Were you expecting from this investigation?
Well, the administration needs to brief all members of Congress. Some members of Congress have been briefed. I think all members need to have access to the video and to a comprehensive briefing.
Everybody wants to see the video,
as well as whatever report is done by the House Armed Services Committee needs to be available for all members to look at and to view. As the Vice Chair said, there are some accountability measures within the NDAA and withholding parts of Secretary Hegseth's budget until the information is released. That's a good start. We need more of this information, and we need to ensure that we understand what the focus, will be moving forward as well, and if there are any changes to policy that the Secretary has conveyed to his combatant commanders. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, so we heard from both sides on healthcare, the Republicans and the Democrats. And we keep on hearing them talk about this video that basically has Pete Hegseth and so much hot water, guys. They were saying 2, but I found a report that said there was up to 5 survivors on that boat.
With escalating frustration up on Capitol Hill, more lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are now demanding the Trump administration release the full video of that very controversial follow-up strike on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean.
They were saying 2. It turns out it could be up to 5.
In any way compromise mission integrity down there. Just get the stuff out there.
I believe the American people deserve to see. And even if you would argue, well, there are sources and methods, I'm not sure I accept that argument.
Hey, guys, can we get 50 more likes, man? We need anybody in the building that hasn't double-tapped their screen, if you're on a mobile device, to do so. That's how you hit the like button, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel, guys. Let's try to get the likes up past 200, if you don't mind.
But sure as hell, at least members of Congress ought to see.
If there's a way to release the video, which I have not seen, but if there's a way to release that does not compromise our intelligence gathering, I would urge him to do it.
It was a very unsatisfying briefing. I asked Secretary Hegseth, Secretary of Defense Hegseth, would he let every member of Congress
25 more likes, guys. Double tap that screen.
Unedited videos of the September 2nd strike? His answer, we have to study it. Well, in my view, they've studied it long enough.
President Trump, for his part, doesn't appear concerned by the congressional exasperation. Watch what he told a Pennsylvania crowd last night at an event that was supposed to be focused on his economic agenda.
But they don't go after our ships. You know why? Because that same missile that knocks the crap out of them, that with the drug dealers from Venezuela and others.
All right, so let's bring in CNN's national security correspondent, Kylie Atwood. So, Kylie, these strikes, as we know, they have been going on for a while. A lot of questions were raised, though, when we found out about this second strike, right, back in September. But then we knew that some survivors had actually been released, right? And now you're learning more about what has happened to survivors on other boats that were struck.
Yeah, that's right, Pam. So there have been more than 20 drug boats that have been struck over the course of the last few months. In total, there have been 5 survivors after the initial strike, and that is on 3 separate incidents that we know of. So as you said, it's this first drug boat strike that has been most controversial, and that's because there were those 2 survivors that, according to briefings that the Congress has now received from the Pentagon, were believed to be holding on to pieces of the boat after the first strike that were floating. So they believed that there was still cocaine in that boat, and that is why the second strike happened. But of course, there's been a lot of controversy over that second strike and the legality of it. But there are those 2 other instances in October where there were also survivors, but they were treated very differently. So on October 16th, there was an incident where there was another strike. There were 2 survivors, and the U.S. actually took in those survivors, and then they released them to the countries that they were from. That was Ecuador and Colombia. Now, according to the New York Times, there was some back and forth between the State Department and the Pentagon during this period of time.
Do y'all feel like Pete Hegseth committed a war crime? Let me know in the chat.
With the Pentagon suggesting that maybe they send these survivors to a mega prison in El Salvador. State Department lawyers, according to the New York Times, were pretty stunned by that proposal.
9 more likes, guys. Double tap that screen.
Ecuador and Colombia. And then there's a third instance, and that is later in October. This was on the Pacific Ocean, and there was 1 survivor after 14 were initially killed in the initial strike. And the U.S. went to the Mexican Navy, told them that there was 1 survivor. survivor. The Mexican Navy carried out a search and rescue mission. They weren't able to find that survivor. That person is presumed dead. So if you look at all of these instances, the way that the U.S., the way that the Pentagon dealt with how to deal with these survivors is very different. We heard over the weekend from the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, saying that there are different circumstances in each of these. There wasn't actually different protocol that was followed, but there are still many questions. You heard from lawmakers yesterday after they were briefed by top members of President Trump's national security team, still having questions, particularly about this September 2nd strike. And one of the things that they want are the legal opinions at the time.
So just to follow up, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but so in that first strike, some of the justification from DOD has been, well, there was still cocaine in the boat and they could have posed an ongoing threat, right? In the case where the two survivors were captured and then released, do we know if there was cocaine in the boat still on that one?
So
or any
what
drugs?
a U.S. official told my colleague Haley Britsky about this, who writes at length about these three incidents, is that they were the only two survivors of that instance, which means that they were not perceived as still posing a threat because the submersible that was carrying the drugs had been fully downed in the strike. So because they didn't pose a threat, that is the reason that they were then taken in by the U.S. and then released to the countries where they were from.
The first one, the part of the boat remained, or, you know, and they were trying to
thought
flip it
they were
back
still
over.
holding on to
Right.
those drugs. There's questions about, that rationale, but that's what they told lawmakers last week.
All right, Kylie Atwood, thank you so much. Excellent reporting.
Also new this morning, the Republican chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, Mike Rogers, is prepared to end his panel's investigation into that very controversial follow-up
They trying to
strike
end it
on an
already.
alleged
It
drug
just got
boat
started.
in the Caribbean. A committee aide tells CNN, and I'm quoting now, the video and classified briefings from the Pentagon were sufficient to convince him this was a legal action. For more analysis, I want to bring in retired Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath. She's a former U.S. Marine combat fighter pilot, and we should note she's also running for the U.S. Senate in Kentucky as a Democrat. Thanks so much, Colonel, for joining us. I know there's a lot going on right now. As someone who has risked her life, in your particular case, fighting for this country, why are you so concerned by everything we're learning right now about this so-called follow-up strike in the Caribbean?
I think it's really concerning because, first of all, if the Pentagon had no problems releasing the first video, and they didn't, they tweeted about it. They're very proud of these videos. And then, when there's a controversy with the second boat strike, and there is, these guys, as you just were mentioning, were clinging to the boat. And to justify and say, well, there's cocaine there and we have to go and destroy the boat when, we have laws of war. Right now, we don't even know if we're at war because Congress hasn't authorized anything. But, our military, when you see people who are shipwrecked, you can't just execute them. And so there is controversy here. And if the Pentagon says they're the most transparent Pentagon, which is what they've said, they ought to release this second video. It doesn't pass the smell test when you're like, hey, there's secret stuff in the second video, but not the first. Come on, we all know this.
What do you say to perhaps a layperson who's watching this unfold and say, well, I mean, they were, and you can have questions about whether the first strike is legal, right? And a lot of Democrats have come out and said they believe that they're not legal, right? But what do you say to the American out there who's like, well, if they're trying to strike and kill the bad guys, why not just finish the mission?
Yeah,
and again, I know that there's a legal aspect, but I think that it's a political messaging aspect too.
Well, I certainly hear that a lot because, in Kentucky, we have a real problem with opioid crisis.
Yeah.
We people want
That's
to go
all
after,
over
and I
America.
want to go after drug dealers. But it doesn't pass the smell test when the president and these Republicans then turn around and pardon, one of the biggest narco terrorists on the planet, in this ex-president of Honduras, who not only trafficked 300 tons of cocaine, tons, not pounds, but also was sentenced to 45 years in prison. So you can't say, okay, I really want to do this. I really want to strike these boats and go after these guys, but at the same time turn around and pardon the actual drug kingpins.
Absolutely. Let's double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up if you're on a mobile device, or click the three dots, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new.
That doesn't pass the smell test for Americans or for Kentuckians. And also, if you really care about this issue, you really care about the people who are hurt by addiction and drugs, why would you then turn around and cut programs for treatment and prevention? And that's exactly what these Republicans did last summer when they passed this big bill. So it doesn't jive, it doesn't connect.
We should note also, Senate Republican leader John Thune, a member of the Gang of Eight, he told reporters yesterday that he hasn't even seen the video of the second strike. I mean, you have worked on Capitol Hill and the Pentagon. What do you think members of Congress and the American people need to see to be assured that follow-up attack was legal, as DOD is claiming?
Well, it's about accountability. And first of all, we're putting our military in a hugely bad spot because Congress is not doing their job. They're not authorizing the use of force. That is what their job is to do. And if you want to take out all of this and you want to find out is this legal or not, Congress needs to authorize the use of force. But this second boat strike, I mean, it doesn't make sense to release the first boat strikes and then turn around and say, well, there's something secret in the second one.
They've been reviewing it for a while. How long do you have to study it?
And you know why they're not releasing it. Because they know what happened was wrong.
Whoa. Hey, she say, because they know what happened was wrong. So it seems like everybody's trying to see the tape, guys, and they want to see the footage just like they want those Epstein files. Okay, on to something we haven't talked about in a while, guys. Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, guys, he dropped a book. And she been on every station it is to be on, promoting, talking about Charlie. Yeah, man, there's been a lot of conversation with Erica Kirk going on. Here's one of them.
Look at that. You live for those moments when he just walked down and was throwing the hats and students. He loved Gen Z and young people. And there's just this sea of endless crowds of people. You couldn't even see the end. He was throwing out hats, and then...
Candace Owens seems to think this was an inside job that went on with Charlie Kirk. What y'all think?
It's just, yeah, still processing it.
Sadly, we just started getting word just a couple of moments ago that Charlie Kirk has been shot.
How did you find out Charlie had been shot?
Was at my mom's doctor's appointment. I have my phone and I see the video come in of him flinging out the hats.
Hold on, because this may not be the one that I wanted to see. Hold up, let me see something. Now, this ain't the one. It's this one. Let's go here. She's everywhere, guys.
Kirk's final book that he finished only 1 month before his assassination. It is now out in bookstores around the country. Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. By the way, you can get it. You go to 45books.com. You can get a copy.
This is Charlie Kirk's book.
Around the country. Now, the book takes on the machine that we kind of look at it as modern life. This, all day. You ever see somebody at a dinner table? They're like, everyone's looking at their own phone, right, Erica? We'll talk about that. It's a never-ending distraction for everybody, which, which we all seem to be addicted to. This book is encouraging all of us 1 day a week to turn this off, to turn off electronics, learn to be present with our significant others, with our loved ones, with our children, and truly rest 1 day a week. God created the world in 6 days. He rested on the seventh. And to do that in the name of God and honor the Sabbath. Erica Kirk, the CEO of Turning Point USA, joins us now for this interview.
And there
it's so
she
good to see you. I got to spend time with you earlier today.
I loved it.
You stuck with me twice.
We're stuck. Our whole team is all stuck together.
Oh yeah,
it's all good.
Mikey taking a million
Right.
videos over there. Before we talk about the book, which is really, I think, can transform people's lives.
Absolutely.
How are you doing? How are the kids?
Doing the best you could expect. God is good, and we have the most amazing Turning Point USA family. They've rallied around myself, my children, and chosen family is everything. And then of course we're blessed with our family itself. But people like you, Ainsley, it's priceless. It's priceless.
You know, you go through this period and they have the shock of something like this happen.
Right.
You know, we all try to relate to people. I don't know if you really could relate to this. And then all of a sudden, there are moments where you just like, the reality hits you. He's not coming home.
Right. The permanency, I will always struggle with the permanency. It's the love of my life. I still talk to him every single day, as if when I'm getting ready in the morning, when I'm getting ready to go to bed, when I'm just going about my day, I still feel him so much with me. And I just, again, the permanency will never settle in.
You know, we talked a little about this on radio today, but when you think of heaven, and as a Christian, I believe in heaven, Jesus on the cross says to a person to his left, this day you will be with me in paradise.
Yeah.
The eye hath not seen, the ear hath not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of man what God has in store for those who love the truth. I say at the end of my show, hopefully you stay up once in a while. Let not your heart be troubled.
Yes.
But the verse goes on, in my Father's house are many mansions.
Amen.
And I go to prepare a place for you, so that where I am, you shall also be.
Amen.
Does that give you comfort?
It does.
Those
And
words?
my daughter and I, we've talked about this at night. She would ask, what do you think Daddy did today in heaven? And I'll have her relay that back to me, or, you know.
Sad. Prayers for that family, guys. Prayers for that family.
And I've tried to
Prayers for the
explain this
Kirk
to her,
family, guys.
that Daddy's still with us. He's just in a different location, and he's building us a home in heaven. And I've said this before, but she said, I can't wait to go. I said, me too, baby. Me too.
This is an amazing message. I actually I was reading the book, as you can tell.
I'm the same way.
I tore up Charlie's book.
I'm the same way.
But I read every page of it. First of all, he's a biblical scholar, which was beyond impressive.
Phenomenal.
I mean, I would think any scholar would be impressed by the scholarship behind this. The second thing that stood out about this is, wow, what a powerful message that he's sending. Turn off your phone Friday night at sunset. Don't turn it back on till Saturday night at sunset. I think that it could be shocking to most people. How did it work in your life?
Well, let me just explain first how much time and effort went into this book. Charlie he didn't write this book without doing what he's talking about in this book. That's not the way he operates. He learned as much as he could about this topic. We have over 50 books on our bookshelf about the Sabbath. He wanted to know it so deeply, and he saw the fruit of what it was like to actually detach from the world, stop the noise, stop the scrolling, and just put pause on everything and focus.
It's funny, somebody should bring up J.D. Vance. Well, they're saying that they had a security detail following them everywhere. So I don't know how true that is, what you're saying, talking about Vance is allegedly getting a divorce to be with Erica. I don't know about that. But I do know they have been talking about, J.D. Vance and Erica. But they said there was a security detail, watching their every move at one point.
This on your family. And he was, at first, it would start with an hour, 2 hours, but then once he fully incorporated it into his life, he totally elevated. He became a next level husband, which I didn't even think was possible because he was already so incredible to me and the babies, but I saw how this changed his life, and it's something so simple, just turning your phone off or detaching from TV or your daily life and just taking a minute to pause and breathe and understanding how important family is and putting into perspective the battle's already won. Just love on what the Lord has blessed you with.
He talked about how that's real rest.
It is.
And
it is.
And that means not watching television, binge watching. It means present with your family, present
with your family,
God.
Present with the Lord. Rest your brain, rest your heart, rest your soul. We're not machines. We're humans. We have souls. We are here to make a difference. And if you can't hear from the Lord, if you're being inundated constantly from other people trying to take your attention away from what the ultimate goal is, how are you able to make decisions for your family and for your company and for XYZ if you are so inundated with whatever the enemy wants you to have? I mean, we talked about this earlier, busyness. That's not the same as being
The way
productive.
you write that the way he writes it in the
Correct.
book is very powerful.
Very much so. There's a huge difference. We can get boggled down with to-do lists and thinking that that is productivity. It's actually not. Charlie was incredible with time management. And time on this earth is so limited. You and I both know that, and now we see it in Technicolor with what happened to my husband. But time is so precious. And so are you going to spend that time investing into your family, investing into the eternal things, investing into things that you will have in heaven? Or are you going to waste that time getting in internet debates and, going down rabbit holes?
When you were on the radio show today, I asked you to read a passage because I thought it would be better coming from you. And it was the Sabbath is not just a nice idea. It's not just a day of rest for the religious or nostalgic. The Sabbath is God's answer to a culture spinning out of control. And it is his ancient rhythm and sanity planted like an anchor in a world swept away by currents and chaos.
Yeah, Charlie.
And he says,
Charlie
6
wrote a
days
book,
we work,
guys.
build, engage. On the seventh day we stop, not because we're weak.
Not weak.
We stop because we're human. I mean, he's 31 years old. And that's way more profound than I think anything I could say.
He did not just write this book, he lived it. So when you feel something so deeply and you've experienced it and you lived it, you want to be able to tell other people, look, this will change your life. I know it might sound simple, but sometimes the best answers are the most simple ones. It is truth. And our whole team knew on days where he didn't get a full Sabbath and did, because he just was so locked in, and he just, again, was the most incredible man, but this just took him to a whole new level. And it was in a way where you would look at him and be like, whatever you're doing, I want to do. And he's like, here. And this is his final message. This is what I'm trying to express to people. This is Charlie's last book. So people can write books all about my husband and what he believed and what he said and analyze his videos. These are his words. And when you read them, you feel him come to life. It's powerful.
It is very powerful. And it really caused me, as I read it, again, I read the whole thing, and
I'll be honest, I
absorbed.
can't read the last few pages. I'm not there yet. It's just emotionally, because once this book is done, it's done.
Of course. I mean, everybody thinks we should all mourn a certain way.
Right.
Okay, well, until you walk a mile in someone else's shoes, don't lecture people.
100%.
Because, I grew up in an Irish family. In one corner of the room, there's people pretty wasted. They've been drinking heavily. Another corner of the room, there's people crying. In another corner of the room, they're telling jokes about the person that died. Then there's the two people that can't stop touching the dead body, which used to freak me out. But people mourn differently. I felt at one point in this book, I felt like this lecture was just for me, but it really, I think, applies to everyone. I related to it. He gives you, it's sort of like a salesperson, overcoming objections.
Right.
He gives you every excuse your mind can think of not to do this.
100%.
And I'm like, check, check, check.
Right. You don't have
the
time.
president may call.
Right, exactly. You don't have time to do this. You have kids' soccer games. No, he goes through all of it. And he says respectfully, it's making adjustments, not excuses.
Yeah. After all this happened, I knew Charlie more on the political side of him, but the most important part of Sean Hannity is the personal, private side that has been hesitant, never wanted to proselytize. And especially as I've gotten older, my faith has grown stronger and stronger. And after this happened and he was assassinated, Ainsley, for example, and myself started watching videos of the two of you.
Yeah.
And one really stood out about how Charlie would always ask you, and you would ask him how you can serve each other. In a lot of marriages that go wrong, it's, well, she won't, he won't, horrible cook, whatever. Right? I want to play with a little of that.
Sweet.
Charlie and I check in with each other every single day. How can I serve you better? What can I do for you to make it better when you get home? Is there anything that you need me to have ready for you when you come back from the office or this trip, XYZ? He asks me the same thing if I'm out doing something, or even if I'm out with the kids. What can I do? How can I make your day better? You're a team, and you guys are not at ends with each other. Work together, communicate, and grow together as equally yoked partnership.
I think there's a lot of deep meaning in that and a lot of lessons for couples to learn. Can you give us more detail? What did it mean for you to serve him and for him to serve you? Because I often joke, why did they take away love, honor, obey? I'm kidding. I'm not Bam Bam, I'm not Fred Flintstone. But what did it mean to you?
What it meant to me was that he actually genuinely cared about how he could improve himself as a husband. Not from the standpoint of, look at me, I'm better than you, but in the standpoint of, I want to serve you because I love you. And I want to make sure that I can be the provider that you need spiritually, emotionally, and every other way with the children. And we never looked at each other as competing roles. It was never from the standpoint of, well, you're the wife, you need to stay in XYZ, and I'm the husband, and I go out, and it was always, we're a team. There was no daylight between us. He always told me about his day, everything that was going on with Turning Point USA, everything that he was up to, and vice versa. And that's why we were always in lockstep with the Lord. We were equally yoked when we got married, and we remained that way because our full focus and our full through line was the Lord. We had a fire at the covenant when we got married, and we made that covenant with the Lord. That was not something that was just, oh, this is so cute, we have a really beautiful wedding. No, this is a big deal. You found the love of your life. The Lord has been able to bring you guys together for a purpose and for a reason. And God is going to use your marriage in ways that will blow your mind. And yes, there is some pain in that. There is some deep pain. And not everyone will understand it. And I don't expect anyone else to. But the love that Charlie and I had and still have is something that transcends this world and into heaven. And that's why I still feel so connected to him, because again, we made that covenant. And how intentional he was about serving myself, that made me be a better wife. How can I serve you when you get home? What can I do better to be a better wife to you? How can I love on you better? When you communicate with each other, that's what's missing in this world. You talk about us being detached on our phones at dinner. I saw that tonight. There was a 5-year-old girl at a round table with her family of 5. And the only person with headphones on, rhinestone headphones, was the 5-year-old girl. What message does that show to her? Your voice doesn't matter. You're not an adult. You're not raising a little girl. You're raising a woman. And so in this book too, Charlie talks about how important it is. Put your phone down, engage with your family, pour into them. That's your legacy. You don't want to ignore that. You want to pour into them.
Are people actually, do they spend all that time running away? They don't want to face whatever it is. I mean, I think one of the hardest things to do in life is, and I think Christianity is misunderstood in a lot of ways. In that,
Let's take time to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. If you have not double tapped that screen, double tap your screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, guys. It helps out the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is everything we know involving Charlie Kirk's new book, guys. Erica Kirk is on a campaign, a promotion campaign like no other.
Christian, you think you're holier than thou. I don't believe that at all. I think the first thing you acknowledge as a Christian is you're a failure.
You're a sinner and you need a savior. That is the first thing. So I don't know how that's holier than thou when you realize up front you need a God and it's not you.
And you're asking for help and you're asking for transformation.
Correct.
From the Latin, the word repentance means to change one's heart.
Right.
And that you're asking for help to do that.
Right. And Charlie talks about that in this book from the standpoint of, do not idolize yourself. You don't have all the answers. You're not supposed to. And that's where it's so important for you to do a deep dive, know your nature, like Charlie said. Figure out, obviously you're not perfect, no one is. Only God is. But there are things that you can do in your life to be able to be more in tune with the Holy Spirit and be able to make a difference in this life. A short life, and it starts with you realizing you're not perfect and the world doesn't revolve around you, and you're here to serve and to love others. That's what's most important.
You talk about what the heart of Christianity is. What was Jesus's commandment? Love others as I have loved you. And he gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Correct.
as I look at this, and by the way, it's 45books.com. I hope everyone will get a hold of it. We're mind, body, and spirit. And we're all into health, wellness, fitness, nutrition,
Trying to stay alive forever.
We're just cold plunge.
Right. Saunas.
Do everything, saunas, all
Vitamins.
that, and eating healthier. Yes. All right, we nourish our minds. We by reading and intellectual knowledge. We nourish our bodies. We eat healthier. We work out. But I think we often forget the spiritual component of human existence and stillness. I think my best moments, or the moments I feel closest to God, are when I'm still and I'm quiet.
Absolutely.
And it's probably I don't do it enough. I probably don't. I don't.
Well, the enemy would love for you not to. The battleground is in your head. The enemy would love nothing more than to be able to just confuse things in your head and make it so loud that you cannot make any decisions. You can't absorb the word. You can't engage with other people. You can't communicate with other people. You're on autopilot. The enemy would love that. But when you're able to stop and be still with the Lord, that's when he's able to use you the most. Yeah. When you're surrendered, when you're fully surrendered.
It's like saying the Lord's Prayer slowly with meaning and not getting, oh, I'm thinking about my next show. I'm thinking about, what I'm going to say to so-and-so the next time I see them.
No, it's right. And that's what's so important. When you say that prayer and you catch yourself thinking outside of that space, start over.
I start over.
Yeah.
45books.com.
Yes.
It's called Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. What an unbelievable final statement from somebody that I became friendly with and came to love and admire.
And you know what's so powerful is that he is now living the ultimate Sabbath.
He's going to change lives with this book, and I think millions of them. It really is a powerful book. And I hope people will consider at least try the 2 hours first, and then maybe work into it.
You don't even have to be religious. You can be a non-observing citizen and use this book to change your life.
Shabbat Shalom.
Amen.
I watch the Chosen over and over and over again. I feel like I know it. But Erica, I'm so glad you.
So that was Erica on Hannity, guys. She wasn't done though. When I tell you she's been everywhere, man, she has been everywhere. Let me find the one I'm looking for. Hold on. She has been everywhere, guys. All right, that's not what I'm looking for, and that's not, I guess I already passed it. Yeah, she has been everywhere, so let's just go with what I have loaded up already. Okay, let's go. She was also here. Let's go.
Final book is out today. It's called Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. It's currently #1 on Amazon. He wrote it just 1 month before his assassination. Charlie had been urging people to disconnect from technology and reconnect with what matters. Watch this.
Turn your phone off for 1 day. No contact, no social media, no work. Your mental health will improve dramatically. That is a day to go be with God. That is a day to read your Bible and be out of the busyness and the hurriedness and the anger and the noise of this world.
Erica, this theme, it connects with everybody.
It
right?
does.
We're talking about this all the time, how we can be closer to family and to friends and be off our phones. Why was this so important for Charlie?
Because he knew that it transcended any type of political label, any age group, any demographic. And it was Charlie was known for being a bridge builder. And this is what helped fill that generational gap between grandparents and their grandchildren or parents and their children. And he knew, being able to see it firsthand, how it impacted his family and in us. And he knew that this was something that the world needed to hear, and God did too. And he put it on his heart, and Charlie wrote it. And I know that it's going to change and impact millions of lives.
It's amazing. Let's go around, Jesse.
When we sat down together, you told me the routine.
It was the routine.
He on a sunny day, he'd stretch, he'd reflect, he'd
go for
read.
a hike.
What was that like on those days of Sabbath?
Precious, priceless. I saw a side of my husband that the world never got to see. And that to me was so special, because that was him just being able to breathe, be able to be with the Lord, let my children climb all over him, be daddy, and get, yes, the world knows him as Charlie Kirk. I know him as my husband. My babies know him as daddy. And he was able to just reset, recalibrate, and say, you know what, the noise of this world can wait 24 hours. I can get back to it once I have a fresh brain and I'm rested.
I'm curious if your children are younger than the ones that I'm thinking about, but I have friends who I think would love to do this, especially as you start to get a little bit older and maybe the preteens or early teens and they have phones. And parents are looking for a way to get them off their phone. It's very difficult. And do you have any thoughts about that in terms of what it did for your family, even though that your children were younger? It could probably still have the same kind of effect for kids that are.
Oh, well, we're not screen time family with the children. I joke around that, yes, we did watch Charlie's show all the time. And then Bob Ross for nap-inducing moments. But it was very much so that that's not where our interaction is. You go to a dinner table, and if someone's on their phone while you're talking to them and having a conversation, they're half listening. So they're physically there, but they're not mentally there. So what kind of conversation is that? And so what Charlie also realized is the beauty in true, authentic communication that's totally lacking these days. The fact that we can sit here and all have a conversation, the five of us, is amazing. That's actually a rare thing at a dinner table. All of us are focusing on what each person's saying, but when you're at a dinner table in Manhattan and you have kids and family, half of the people have their phones, like it's very disconnected. So maybe more dinner tables should look like this.
Yeah, indeed.
Right.
Tyrus?
There's no food on the table. First of all, it's my first time meeting you, so I'd like to say I'm very sorry for your loss. That's the first thing I'd like to say. And secondly, how are the children and how are you holding up? Like your daily routine obviously is forever changed.
It is.
With all the whirlwind and everything that you're between books and speech engagements and taking over Turning Point, like is the goal eventually to get back to where you were with your children before? Or is it just, I mean, obviously it's all new and you're still going through it, but
right. No, it's a very fair question. It's a great question. I am now at my age having to relearn my life. It's a very fair question. My babies come with me to the office anytime that I do have to go into the office. But what is so powerful is that Charlie handpicked the leadership team at Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. He knew exactly who needed to be in the leadership roles to get things done, because he also had his radio show and his podcast, and he was traveling on campuses doing Prove Me Wrongs. So for him, he wanted to make sure that his baby, Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action, they were running smoothly. And so he was so instrumental and intentional about who he put in those positions. So I am very blessed to have a team. I cannot do this without my team and my family. I call them my family because they are. Those staff members are not employees to me. They're family members. It is not a 9-to-5. It's a mission-driven organization. And everyone that works there is working there because they understand the heart and soul and the DNA.
And just so y'all know, Greg Abbott of Texas has linked up with Turning Point USA. He is now a partner with Turning Point USA, Greg Abbott.
They have Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. They're not there for just getting a paycheck. And it's so powerful. And Turning Point USA, I need that organization just as much as this country does, because they are my family. And I know that what my husband started was founder-led, and now it's vision-led, and we are all locked in. It's very powerful.
I wanted to ask you, so I do have kids around the same age as yours, and I've been
Governor Hot Wheels, let's go.
How you have managed this and the grace that you've shown. And in particular, as someone, I'm a Reformed Jew, not particularly religious, but I was really struck by you saying just a few days after Charlie was murdered that you forgave Tyler Robinson, the alleged murderer, I think we're still supposed to say. Can you talk to us about how you managed to do that? Because that seems like the number one life lesson that I would love to get from someone, how you could find that in yourself. And you're modeling a Christianity that is so inspirational to me, especially someone who's not particularly religious.
That's very kind. I appreciate that. It's again, I've said this and I'll say it again, that was something I heavily prayed on. I'm not going to say something that I don't believe in, and I wouldn't expect anyone else to. And I wouldn't expect someone to understand my position, especially with something that's as horrific and evil. But at the same time, hate is very powerful from the standpoint of it's all consuming. it will deteriorate. It will tear you apart. I know they say it's like drinking a poison, it impacts you more than the other person. And if I had any ounce of hate in my heart, the Lord would not be able to use me. I also want to be able to show people that, yes, okay, you forgive someone. You don't forget what they did. It's not a weakness. It's a form of a strength to know, okay, Lord, I am surrendering to you. You have a choice. Am I going to stand in the corner, be in fetal position and crying, or I'm going to stand on my 2 feet by the Lord's strength, be able to say, Lord, give me grace today. I don't know how you're going to use it, but I know you'll use it for your glory. I'm here. Use me. Shine the light of where I'm supposed to go. And please, every single day, give me grace, heal me, Lord. And it's just a repetitive thing. Faith is just a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And I pray that everyone understands that your life might be the only Bible someone reads. So be authentic with it.
Greg is not here. He has the sniffles, Erica. But Harold is also not here. This is Jessica. Harold, Jesse, and Greg are in a Bible study group together.
Are they really?
Because of Charlie Kirk.
Okay, that is really cool.
So every morning,
that is really cool.
Every morning we wake up and we read a passage and then we text about it.
Okay.
And it is because of Charlie.
I love that.
Wait a minute.
You're not invited.
I lift weights in the morning.
You can still get Bible verses when you're lifting.
You mentioned them, but you didn't put yourself in, but yet you're reading the texts. So you're in the group too.
No, I'm in the group. I said Jesse. I spoke of myself in the third person.
Which is annoying.
I'm sorry.
I speak in third person, not you. We've discussed it. It's in my contract. Tyrus doesn't like that.
Have you been hearing anecdotes about that? This is how Charlie impacted me. I'm reconnecting with the Lord.
It is so powerful. People that are buying Bibles for the first time, going back to church in years, calling their family members and apologizing or saying, hey, can we somehow bridge this, heal this? It's powerful. And Charlie, every single day on his way into work, would text people Bible verses. And he just wanted to remind people that this is what it's all about. It's about, your life here is so short. So are you going to use your short time here on earth to make this place better, or are you going to make it worse? Are you going to be a solution, or are you going to be an additional problem? And so every day he wanted to help people remember, okay, when I message you, it's to get your mind right and your heart right in the right heart space. You're going to start off your day with a Bible verse, even if you're not Christian, even if you're not Jewish, even if you don't believe in anything, at least you're reading something that is true and beautiful, and it gets you set on the right pace to have an amazing day and maybe bless someone else along the way.
I think we have time for one more. So I just picked in this chapter 11 begins, it's called Now It's Your Turn to Act. But right before that, one of the lines that Charlie wrote, it says, the Sabbath is not a burden to bear, it's a grace to embrace. And he says in chapter 11, I write this with as much humility as possible. If I can carve out a Sabbath, so can you.
That's true.
And he talks about the demands on his time. So for people out there who are thinking, that sounds great, but I have so much to do, what would you say?
Well, make adjustments and not excuses. That's what he would say. And I second that.
So stop in the name of God, honor the Sabbath. Why honoring the Sabbath will transform your life.
All right, so that was Erica Kirk, guys. She's on a promotional tour. You might as well say she is everywhere, speaking highly of her husband. He most definitely wrote a book before he passed away, in the tragic way that he passed away. And now the book is out and she is promoting it, the president of Turning Point USA now. All right, let's get to the president of the United States, because he got a live briefing going on. Let's get over here, see what Trump over here talking about, guys. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. That's how you hit the like button. Most definitely, or click those 3 dots and hit the thumbs up. That's another way to hit the like button. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new. Let's get back.
What pace do you move?
Hold on.
What size moves do you make in that?
Get past you, sir.
So I don't see that as, I don't see the to only tick up 1 or 2 more tenths, but we won't see,
some of the people
reserve management in my term now.
You'll be talking about that. Lee, for me.
Speaking live as he's holding a roundtable. Let's listen.
Do you want to bring that camera over there? It's okay. Bring him over there. It's better. Go ahead. No, bring him over into the center. Yeah, it's okay.
Sir, we have a camera.
This is Aaron. This is Aaron. Nice to see you. Well, thank you very much. It's been an interesting day from the standpoint of news. As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people.
They seized the tanker in Venezuela,
for me
guys.
and for the country, we've just launched the Trump Gold Card.
This is a speech just given by Trump, guys. You know, he says they got a very large tanker off the coast of Venezuela, one of the biggest tankers. He always say the biggest. He be tripping me out. But he also just said they launched the Trump card. So this was just from a couple of minutes ago. Trump most definitely held a round table once again, you know, to give some news. So let's go.
It was about 30 minutes from now.
Oh yeah. Can we double tap the screen, guys? Can we get the likes to 300? Double tap that screen. We're 20 away. You know, double tap that screen if you're on the mobile device, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, man. Don't everybody do it at once. I mean, everybody do it at once. Let's get the likes up, guys. Shout out to everybody in the building.
The site goes up, and all funds go to the United States government. It could be a tremendous amount of money. It'll also be able to have people like this keep, as an example, just one example, there are a lot of examples, people just buying them. It's somewhat like a green card, but with big advantages over a green card.
Shout out to everybody that hit that like button.
Companies are going to be able to go to the Wharton School of Finance, the Stern Business School, Harvard, MIT, wherever you may get your students, any school, and you're able to buy a card and keep that person in the United States, actually, so there's certainty, because I've heard from Tim Cook of Apple, and I've heard from a lot of people, some of the people at this table, that essentially in the United States you can't keep the student, you can't hire people from the best colleges because you don't know whether or not you can keep the person. They come and have the people get out, they throw the person out of the country, you graduate number 1 from your college, and there's no way of guaranteeing, I guess you could say, there's no way of guaranteeing that they're able to stay in the country. Howard, maybe you'll give a little description of the Trump Gold Card, please.
Sure. So for an individual, it's $1 million, and for a corporation, it's $2 million. And as the president said, for a corporation, they spend $2 million. They can then have an employee full vetting, the best vetting the government has ever done, $15,000 vetting to make sure these people absolutely qualify to be in America, absolutely qualify. And then the company can keep them here, and they have a path to citizenship, right? Obviously, they have to be perfect people in America and having passed the vetting.
So this is about the Trump Gold Card and what it entails, guys. With this card he just launched. Remember, it was supposed to cost so many millions of dollars. You know, you could skip ahead in the line of immigration. You know, basically get into the country, and you just got to pay an X amount of dollars to do it. And we're gonna provide you with this, and this. Yeah, well, that's what they talking about right now.
And then the company can keep them here, and they have a path to citizenship, right? Obviously, they have to be perfect people in America, and having passed the vetting, after 5 years, they'll be available to become citizens, and then the corporation can put someone else on the card. So for a company, they can keep putting people on the card, 1 person per card, and for an individual, it's $1 million, and it's a gift to the United States of America.
The card is $1 million, guys. Yeah, it's $1 million. You know, you get you one of these Trump cards, you good for life. It's like Monopoly. It might be a free get out of jail card. I'm just saying, allegedly. You know, you get you one of these good old cards, it costs $1 million, man, and you in the game.
To help America be great again under Donald Trump.
And there's really two gifts. It's a gift of getting somebody great coming into our country, because we think these will be some tremendous people that wouldn't be allowed to stay. You know, they graduate from college, you have to go back to India.
I wonder if you got a Trump gold card, you know, you got you one of them Trump cards, you know, can you buy a pardon with it? Is it good for pardons? I'm just saying. What's up, Miss Pooh Bear? Is it good for pardons? You got $1 million, get you one of them cards, can you get you a pardon? I mean, I'm legal in America, you know, but we might, you know, we got a couple people in jail that might need some pardons. If they can come up with $1 million with that Trump card, get them out. I'm just saying.
They have to go back to China. They have to go back to France. They have to go back to wherever they came from. Very hard.
Let's go, Carlos. Carlos say pardon cards are $2 million. Let's go.
Shame. It's ridiculous things. We're taking care of that. The companies are going to be very happy.
Thank you for the heart. Thank you.
A lot of the companies. Nobody talked to me more. And we think probably billions of dollars that will go to the Treasury of the United States, that will go to an account where we can do things positive for the country. So it'll be a great thing. We'll take it, I think, you know, billions of dollars. Many billions of dollars, even. So that's very exciting. The Trump accounts are...
Thank you, Jay.
Doing really well. We have a man on my right, Michael Dell, who's an extraordinary person. His wife is even more extraordinary. I think I can say that they have such a good relationship, you know, like she's an extraordinary person, right? Got a great wife. But they're two great people, and as you know, last week Michael contributed $6,250 million. And this is just something that's so special. So many people are in love with it. He understood it right from the beginning. It was his idea. And he understood it right from the beginning. Could you give maybe just a little description of why you loved it for such a long period of time? And we were able to get it through the great big beautiful bill, basically. That's how, what gave us the authorization to do it. Michael, please.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. So, you know, when we first heard about this idea, the idea was that the government would give $1,000 to a newborn baby in an account that they would own. And it would go in essentially the S&P 500 and compound. And when the child becomes 18, they could use that money to go to college, to buy a home, to start a business, to continue saving. And I thought that was a great idea. I thought it'd be great if companies matched the government's contribution, which we're doing. A lot of the companies around the table have committed to doing that. And also thought about this is, wow, this is going to be like a platform for families and communities and philanthropists to contribute to those accounts. And so we originally started with the idea of, well, what if we gave some money to all the kids in our home state of Texas, right? We thought that would be a nice thing to do.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, it is. 1 out of 10 new kids in America born in Texas.
It's pretty good.
I happen to be a fan of the state of Texas, but anyway, we thought about it some more, and we thought, you know, this is going to be something really special. We have a foundation. It focuses on children. It's been around for 26 years, and we said, well, why don't we go bigger? And so we talked about it, and you know, now that the Investment America Act is a law, which that in itself is a incredible thing that occurred. It does create a platform, and we were super happy to announce that we would give $250. We arrived at $250 because next year will be the 250th birthday of America and 25 million children. We thought that was a nice thing to do because it would include most of the children that are 10 and under, that are not part of the government program, that live in zip codes where the median income is less than $150,000. And that was also an important part of our contribution. And I do believe there will be a number of other large gifts announced. I've already spoken with a few that will be announcing gifts at the state level, right? And more to come.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's amazing the vision you have, and that's why you're so successful, frankly. And to think that Michael started off with not a lot of money, I would say, right? Not too much, like very little, and he can give a gift of $6,250,000,000, and I know he said he's going to do a lot more. It's pretty amazing. It's really a beautiful thing to watch. So great for our country. So we have the Trump accounts are doing really well, and it's become, I have to tell you, just everyone's talking about them, beyond what I would have even thought. And it's going to make some young people relatively very wealthy. And in some cases, I mean, they could really be off to a great start. So some people have had that advantage and some people haven't, but it's a wonderful thing. Thank you to you.
You can get you a Trump card and a Trump account. I'm just saying. You can now get you a Trump card and a Trump account.
Beautiful wife. Thank you, sir. So it's a pleasure to welcome so many brilliant minds and distinguished business leaders back to the White House. I love these brilliant minds, including Michael Dell of Dell Technologies, who makes a great product. And I want to thank him for what he's done, what we just discussed, the accounts. We also are grateful to be joined by Enrique Lores of HP. So thank you very much, Enrique. Great job you're doing. Antonio Neri of HP Enterprise. Thank you very much. What's the difference between HP and HP Enterprise?
We focus on the cloud security, networking, and large systems.
The cloud's good. People have done very well with the cloud. That's great. Arvind Krishna of IBM, who's actually become, I would say, a legend. The job he's done. He's taken the stock from a rather low price to a very nice price. I won't say high because I'm sure you're going to say it's going to go up a lot more, right? But, so I can't say a high price. But he took IBM into a new stratosphere that nobody, I think, saw. If you go back to before when he took over the company, nobody would have even imagined that you'd be able to do what you've done. So congratulations, become a good friend. Cristiano Amon of Qualcomm, and thank you very much. Congratulations and success. I know a lot about your company. You've done amazing. An executive director of the Technology CEO Council, Bruce Millman. So, thank you very much. I think that these people know each other. We're going to be talking a little bit about technology today, and we'll take a few of your questions about technology. I'm sure you probably won't have too many of those questions. You'll be asking about some other things, right, Bruce?
Absolutely.
Our administration is committed to total dominance in technology. Right now, we're leading artificial intelligence by a lot. And I think, you look at what's going up, and we're writing rules, regulations. We want to keep it at the federal government level, so it's simple for the companies, very important, frankly. And I think we're pretty well committed. I spoke to some of the senators today, and I think we're committed to do that. We want to make it as simple as possible, as easy, because you're competing with some very big sources, and we want to stay number one by a lot. We're leading the world in building new data centers and new semiconductor and chip manufacturing facilities and new capacity for AI. And we're unleashing all of the forms, literally all forms of energy and natural gas and oil to clean, beautiful coal and safe, reliable nuclear power. And I'm giving them approval to, when they build these massive plants that cost $50 billion. It used to be that for $50 million, you could build a nice little shopping center. But for $500 million, you could build one of the biggest, most beautiful centers. And now they're talking about $50 billion. So explain that one. These buildings are there's never been anything like that. So
and And he always say, if never, we did it the first time. Nothing ever been done like this before. This is the first time in U.S. history we done sold Trump cards and Trump accounts.
You're all involved in that. It's pretty amazing. 1 year ago, our country was considered dead by many leaders throughout the world. And now we have what's called the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. 10 months took us. I thought it was going to take longer, Michael. I didn't think we were going to have this success this soon. We have over $18 trillion being invested. So much of it by, like you're in for a lot. What's the number that you're looking at?
150.
150 billion. That's good. I don't know, Michael. Am I allowed to ask you? You already gave 6,250,000,000. Do you have you stated a number that you're at for investment, future investment?
Well, if I think about all the, investment that we make with the American companies that are adding capacity, particularly around
billions and
semiconductors,
billions of dollars.
It's several $100 billion.
Several $100 billion.
I think that's right. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It makes the 6 billion sound very, very small. That's very good. Antonio, what about you guys? What about you and Enrique? How's that going?
Well,
have you announced a number or anything?
No, I'm actually happy to share with
Trump,
you
like,
over
tell
the
him how
next
much
few years
money
we'll
you
invest
got.
an additional 3.5 billion building secure manufacturing. We build the largest supercomputer for the United States government that supports both the DoD and DOE. So in the next 18 months, we're going to build the largest 5 supercomputers that will keep the United States ahead of the game, both in life science and AI, but also to keep ahead owning the entire stack at the national security level.
Great. Are you doing that separately? Are you doing that together or separate?
No, we're a totally separate company.
Totally separate, right?
From our side, we invest in the years around $18 billion per year. So if you look at the next 5,
that's right.
It will be close to $100 billion. And we are going to be investing in AI at the edge, not only on data centers.
They say they giving $100 billion too.
In PCs, in headsets, in devices that they will be using every day. Which is
so it's over $100 billion.
Yes.
And you're doing well. HP is doing really well.
Yes.
That's great.
We're competing hard with Microsoft.
Are you direct competitors?
Yes.
That's
it. That's why they're on different sides of the table, sir.
The old days would say, why don't you make a deal? I guess now it's not so easy to make a deal.
We can have an arm wrestling match now.
And Cristiano, you've been amazing, right? Your company with the investments. How are you doing with investments?
We're doing great. I think, Mr. President, you have a great decision. I think when you drove our company to continue to be innovating, and I think we're doing very good. We've been, in addition to doing phones, I think we're now, our chips are going to every car company in the world, all the car companies. We're entering into the robotics. There's a lot of growth in robotics and the data center. New smart glasses could be the future of mobile.
Man, these people broke. Listen to me, y'all. These people broke. They talking about 6 million and 100 million. Elon Musk got that by himself. Yeah, he got more than that by himself. It's crazy. They got too much money floating around here for me to be broke, man. I'm just saying, they up here talking about 100 billion and 6 billion, and Elon Musk got trillions. Yeah, man, we struggling just to get $600. I'm just saying.
Devices.
Let alone 6 billion.
Industrial, I think a lot of the drive towards manufacturing the country is driving a lot of technology for smart manufacturing. We're making chips for that, so I think we're very excited. And I think, like Michael, I think the number of industries our chips are being enabling is driving hundreds of billions of dollar investments in. And most important for us, semiconductor manufacturing is very important. So we are going to be customer of the fabs that are being built in the United States by TSMC and Samsung. So we're just going to keep going forward.
Yeah, those investments are very important, and we are all customers of those fabs.
Those two are my customers too.
Yeah.
Memory stuff? Memory?
We do the memory. We do all the.
Who's the king of memory?
It's Micron and SK.
Micron's another one doing very well. That's great. Yeah, I heard you're doing fantastically. Congratulations.
Trump got them over here telling how much money they got. How much are you looking at? Well, we did $6 billion already, but we plan to do $100 billion. Then the next country come up, all right, yeah, we're gonna do $100 billion too. But the U.S. got a lot of money for us to still be broke.
The stock market has set a 51, think of this, 51 all-time record highs during the last 10 months. 51. You guys are big beneficiaries. You're setting the records, right? It's amazing. 51 times we've hit a new high. And in the history of our country, if you think about it, 51 times during the last 10 months. And Bruce, let me ask you, pull these people all together. How's it looking for technology?
A lot of global competition, but you'd rather be playing our hand than any other hand in the world.
Oh, yeah, that is. We have a good hand right now, don't we? Joe Biden secured just really much less than $8 trillion of new investments in 4 years. And in 10 months, we secured more than $18 trillion. So 18 times the amount in 10 months what they did in 4 years. And they would have gone negative. They were heading toward negative. In other words, not $1 trillion, but it could have been 3 or 4 or 5 trillion less because people were leaving. So there's a big,
gotta throw Biden in there somewhere every time.
The $18 trillion.
Or Obama.
There's never been a country that's gotten anywhere near that. In the Middle East, when I left the Middle East, we brought back $3 trillion and lots of Boeing airplanes, like 300. And Boeing gave me the award for the greatest salesman in the history of Boeing, which was a nice little award. I have a little plaque. The greatest, I think I've sold 1,000 Boeing planes. Can you believe it? Now all they have to do is make them. Okay, they got to make them, but they will. But we have made historic trade deals with the United Kingdom, China, Indonesia, Vietnam, Japan, the EU.
Y'all making drug deals.
But
Trump say they done made a lot of
historic trade deals with the United Kingdom, China, Indonesia, Vietnam. We have made historic trade deals with the United Kingdom, China, Indonesia, Vietnam, Japan, the EU, Malaysia, Cambodia, El Salvador, Argentina, Ecuador, Guatemala, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Thailand, and South Korea, and many others. And a lot of it's based on the November 5th election result, which was a massive victory. We won all 7 swing states, the popular vote. We won the Electoral College by a landslide. We won the counties. The counties, they do it. I don't know, to me it's the most accurate of all in many ways. We're 2,700 counties against 525. That's pretty good, right, Cristiano? Pretty good. 2,700 against 525. 525. That's why when you see the maps are all red, except for 2 little blue lines on the right and the left side of the map. They're probably changing too. Americans are great builders, and in the Trump administration, America is once again a country where innovators get a green light. You have the greatest innovators in the world at this time, and representing a lot of their friends who are competitors and friends. But we're really on a big move to get rid of red tape so they can run their businesses and not have to wait 10 years for an approval. In the old days, getting some of these approvals for plants that are already being built would have taken 10, 15, even 20 years prior to rejection. You get rejected.
Hey, Valerie.
You work 20 years and then it moves 5 to 4. And we're getting plants approved in a matter of weeks. The biggest plants ever built in a matter of weeks. For every new regulation, we're slashing more than 10 old regulations. So we're not allowing regulations unless they slash 10 old regulations. We did that in the first term, and we cut more regulation than any administration ever. In our first term, we have the all-time record. I think we're exceeding it here. In fact, now it's 1 in 24 is the number we're at. It's 1 in 10 you have to do, otherwise we're not letting you do it. But we're actually up to 1 in 24, so we get rid of 24 regulations for everyone. That's not a bad deal, right? And it's been very exciting, actually, but including we're allowing 100 in the Great Big Beautiful Deal. We're allowing 100% expensing for capital expenditures, including investments in factories and equipment and structure. So, including even structure. So that if Michael goes out and builds a factory, you can take it against tax immediately, the whole thing. You don't have to wait 38 years, do it over a 38-year period. And I think that's what made the first tax cut, which we, by the way, got extended in this tax cut. So, and you ended up, it's the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. But I think that the expensing factor, and it's good for 10 years too, I think that's maybe was the reason that so much growth was, there were other reasons, but so much growth was gotten in the first term. So earlier this year I said that the challenges of our time demand a new spirit of patriotism and national loyalty in Silicon Valley, smart people, and from the whole technology sector, and that patriotism is on huge display here in this room with some of the most brilliant people. And I'd now like to ask Secretary Howard Lutnick to say a few words, and OSTP Director Michael Kratsios also say a few words.
Thank you,
and I look forward to hearing from Michael a little bit about this subject. Cristiano, welcome. And Arvind, you'll say something, and I appreciate it. And anybody else wants to say a couple of words, feel free. Good job. So why don't we start with Howard, please.
So the key to America's success is the amazing innovators that we have. I mean, we have invented everything from the light bulb, transistor, GPUs. We are on the edge of everything. And we need to keep being on the edge. And the people at this table and this industry is why America's great. We need to build here. You know, for too many years, we innovated and we let everyone else build our stuff. And we just can't do it anymore. So with President Trump coming and winning the election on November 5th, we changed that, and now we're going to build it here. You've done everything you can, and you've heard trillions and trillions of dollars of technology build coming home to America to protect and defend us and use our innovations here. You're driving interest rates lower, and you're going to continue to drive them lower. That makes it cheaper. It makes it more exciting to build here. You've blown out the regulatory deep state so that people can build here and do it fast. And the last thing is because of our investment in energy that drive down the
Shout
cost
out
of
to
energy.
everybody that hit that like button.
Including the people who are building here, drive down the cost of energy. It's great for America. Put all of that together and you're going to see the greatest growth the United States of America has ever seen. You're going to see north of 4% next year, and then it's going to go up from there to 5s and 6s. This president's going to drive the greatest GDP growth, led by the tech sector, coming home and driving growth.
Well, thank you. You know, one of the things I'd like to say just before going over to Michael, and this Michael, and then we'll have this Michael, all right? But one of the things I'd like to say is, in the old days, when you announced really good results in this country, the stock market went up. And that's the way it should be. And we're going back to that. Because otherwise you can never really attain true greatness. In other words, GDP at 4. Oh, 4 is so high. Let's raise interest rates and kill it. And we're going to go back to the old days. When we announce great results, it doesn't mean we're going to raise interest rates and try and kill it. It means that instead of 4% GDP or 3%, which I said so wonderful, 3%, it should be able to be 20 or 25%. I don't know why it can't be. You shouldn't kill it. And so we hope that if this country announces great results, because you're going to see great results over the next couple of years, all these plans, and I'm not just talking about AI, we have the biggest number of auto plants planned. Toyota just announced $10 billion in plants built various couple of locations, few locations in the country, just a little while ago. They're all coming here. They're coming here because of tariffs, because they don't want to pay tariffs, but they're coming here because of the election and the mindset. But when we announce good results, the market should go up. Now it's when you announce good results, Michael, the market goes down because they say, oh, that means things are good. That means we're going to kill it by raising interest rates. I think it's really wrong. It should be the opposite of what it is now. It should be the way it used to be. We announce good results, the market should go up, and we should keep driving it up and have it keep going up and let it be much, much bigger, much, much better. And growth doesn't mean inflation. They're always afraid that, and if there is inflation, that's okay, then we can slow it down. But we should be able to do a lot better than 3 and 4. We're scheduled to be at 4%, which is pretty amazing because we have a deadhead Fed hair. I mean, this guy, the head of the Federal Reserve is a stiff. And, you fight that. It's amazing. We fight that, and yet interest rates are going down, except with him, not too much. He did a rather, I would say, a rather small number that could have been doubled, at least doubled. And that's the other thing. I think the rates for the United States are always the lowest in the world, because without us, there is no world. Without this economy, there's no world. You could go to some of these wonderful countries that you think are so great. Well, one of the reasons they're great is because we allowed them to get rich off of us. We didn't charge them anything. You look at some of the deals. I don't want to say use Switzerland as an example, but Switzerland paid almost nothing in terms of a tariff or a tax or whatever you want to call it, license. They paid nothing, and they're paying now. They're paying a fair amount. I had them at 39%, but I decided to be nice. I was nice, and I think they like us a little bit better. But the money you're talking about is enormous. Our country is a very rich country. But if we do well, the market should go up and the value of our country should go up. And if we do poorly, the market then should go down. It shouldn't be the opposite. And if we go up, we should encourage it to go up more. And those numbers, when you say, 3% of GDP or 4% of GDP, they should be much higher. So, I wanted to say it. I do say it. I believe it. And we have to get a mindset that when a country is doing well, you don't want to kill the growth. That's what they're doing. They kill the growth. I don't know if you guys even agree with that. They kill the growth because they're so afraid of inflation. But you can have tremendous growth without inflation. Everything goes up with the growth, but that's not inflation. So I think we can do much better than traditional numbers. And you see that. You see that with what we're doing. We're leading in everything. And now, and remember this, as far as prices are concerned, and they talk about affordability, I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say it was 48 years, but I say it was the history. What difference? It's 48 years, they were telling me. They said I was being inaccurate because I said the history. I think 48 years is a long time, but it's actually, I disagree. I think it's the history. So in the Biden administration, I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, or 48 years. And prices were very, very high. I brought the prices down. We had yesterday 3 states where oil was at $1.99 a gallon. How about that? And with these guys, it was $4, $4.50. In California, it was like $7 because that's a badly run state. But the price for oil and gas and everything else, the price of gasoline was $4.50, $5. And we just hit $1 and now we broke $2. I was looking forward to that. Couple of states, 3 states. And I will say that when that happens, oil and gas and energy is so big a category, you don't even know what number 2 is. There is no number 2. And when you have the prices coming down for energy like that, you've killed inflation and you're lowering prices. So I inherited very simply the highest prices in history, and I'm bringing them down really fast.
When in doubt,
led by energy. And when energy comes down, everything else comes down. But I've only been here a short while, and we gave them a beautiful, beautiful thing, and they destroyed it. They would have destroyed our country had they been allowed to stay. If we didn't win this election, if we had Kamala, who's the same as Joe, low IQ people, but if we had Kamala, you would have a country that would be right now in ruins. I believe that 100%. Things would be in a state like nobody's ever seen before. Worse than anything you've ever imagined. Worse than 1929, in my opinion. Instead, we have the hottest country in the world, and we're going to keep it that way. But just to finish, we inherited high prices. We're bringing them down very rapidly. and we're bringing them down to very, very good levels. They'll soon be down at very good levels. Michael, please go ahead.
Absolutely. As everyone in this room probably knows very well, leadership in science and technology has been foundational to our economic and national security for decades. And because of the policies that you have championed and the private sector partnerships that you have made, America currently is leading the world in S&T and is benefiting all Americans every day. The one thing that I want to remind this group of, and many of you know, the president has been arguing for American leadership in AI well before ChatGPT was even invented. The president signed executive order on artificial intelligence leadership in 2019, which set the stage for the revolution that we're seeing today. In the past year, we've built on that. We signed out the AI Action Plan in July of this year, which the president launched here in Washington, along with 3 EOs. And I know a lot of that effort is around creating a regulatory environment to allow for companies like yours to thrive and for the applications that you build to have the biggest impact on Americans every day. So thank you for everything that you do, and I know we're going to keep working together to make sure that America is the home for the next great technological discoveries.
Thank you, Michael. And Michael?
Thank you, sir. Well, look, we greatly appreciate the focus the administration has on lowering energy costs. And, energy is the substrate of manufacturing at the industrial level and really an incredibly important input to the economy. We can't be competitive without a super low cost energy industry. And had a great meeting earlier today with Secretary Wright and really appreciate all the work that he's been doing. This is, of course, incredibly important when it comes to AI because it does consume a great deal of power. All the semiconductor manufacturing consumes a great deal of power. Another big area of focus for us is how we can take all this great AI technology, the AI stack of the innovative companies here in the United States and sell that around the world. And, I'd like to ask Arvind to speak a little bit more about this. Arvind?
Thank you. So, Mr. President, first, we really would like to thank you for everything you're doing for economic growth, as you said. I completely agree with you. Economic growth then drives a lot of other benefits to everything else. We also want to thank you for all the work you're doing on deregulation and making things easier for business to participate in that growth. Michael spoke of the AI stack. It's incredibly important that under the action plans that you have laid out and Michael Kratzwitz just spoke of, we really help promote the AI stack, which is not semiconductors only. Those are incredibly important. But it's semiconductors, it's software, it's the systems which many of us here build, and it is the software applications on top. The ability to take those to all our friends in countries, so all the friendly countries, is going to be very, very important. And we wish to work with your government to make sure that we can do that, because otherwise we're afraid that competing countries are going to be able to get that stack. So we would say that.
Anything that you're looking at that we can help you with so that you create a bigger and better IBM and hire a lot more people? Anything you need?
A few countries. We'll speak to members of your administration to make sure that those can go and that barriers get lowered for being able to do it quickly. We agree guardrails are necessary, but lower barriers would be very, very helpful.
You mean tariffs?
No.
Because are these countries are they tariffing you making your life difficult? Are they doing anything else to make your life difficult?
It's the ability to take certain systems which have semiconductors inside them into these countries. So right now, because we have controls on where all the semiconductors can go, then the entire system is restricted. That's what we want to do. The same as
how many countries do that?
Probably a half dozen. So
I can tell you the countries already. I know.
Yes,
I know every country very well, and we have ways of combating that quickly. So you'll let me know.
And the last part I'd like to say is I'd also like to thank you for all that you're doing to help modernize government itself, because we think that that's incredibly important. You made a number of announcements, but a couple that I'd just like to point out. We worked with Commissioner Frank Bisignano to help make Social Security better. So I would like to thank you for your help on that. And we'll work with him on making IRS.
He's done a fantastic job.
Yes, Frank's great.
He's done a great job, Frank. He's had a great career, actually left a tremendous career where his salary, I think, was 100 times greater than it is now. And he was at JP Morgan Chase, and he's doing a fantastic, he did a great job at Social Security, quickly.
And we hope to help him replicate that now at the IRS also.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good job. Cristiano, please.
Yes, just a few points. I think, first of all, Mr. President, thank you for your vision. Thank you for understanding the importance of the American private sector and industry, I think, and the growth of the economy. I want to just build on some of the things that were said by my colleagues. I think we have built probably one of the most advanced technologies in the world, and part of it is because I think the commitment to innovation that we have in the country, but also the fact that it has been American technology for the world. So I think we have an incredible opportunity when I think about what Michael said about exporting AI. I had a conversation with Secretary Howard. Now that the trade deal's been made, is an opportunity to really build on those trade deals and export, I think, American technology. And also, as we think about the technology, it's an important vector to drive the reindustrialization, I think, of the country with technology. So we're incredibly excited about that. I think it's a big opportunity. I think it's the next wave of growth that we can build on those trade agreements. And I think it resonates what also Arvin said about the importance of the American technology stack. And then I'm just going to finish with 2 points. There are 2 exciting things happening in the world of technology coming right now. One is as AI become the new form of computing, AI is going not only to the data center, but to everything, to cars, to PCs. And we see now the ability to run models that you can only run AI in the data center. You can run that on a microcomputer, on a computer for retail.
America's trying to get their hands on the AI to be the top AI people. I understand why, man. AI is taking over, and AI could potentially be dangerous.
A server, with small server on-premise. So I think we're going to see the proliferation of AI. The other one is 6G. We had made commitment working with your administration, working with FCC. We're going to accelerate 6G. We're working to launch first in the world in the LA Olympics. And I think that's another opportunity for America to lead in the next wireless evolution. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the partnership. And we're going to be hard at work, I think, driving that agenda.
So we're into 6G now. I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G getting that done. And now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect that is? I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh?
It's coming.
Does it ever end? And what happens? You'll be into 7, right? Before 6 gets old, you'll be into 7. Anybody have anything else to say? Anybody?
The other thing is, we want to thank you as well for the openness of your organization and your team. We always find people that wants to hear what we need and is willing to design programs that will support us. So thank you for.
Oh, well, here it is. We want you to just dominate the whole world in terms of what you do. It's a very important world, and you're doing that. And we're making it easy for you, and that means you're going to do it faster. It's more jobs, and a lot of good things happen. Right? Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, you may not recall, but in your first term, you actually sponsored the Department of Energy to build the largest systems ever built. And thanks to your sponsorship, the Department of Energy owns the 3 top supercomputers in the world. Yep. And we build it with them. And these are systems that can do quintillion operations per second. And that means we can solve
I know. We made that possible. It's worked out very well. Good.
Solve the problem. So now we're going to build the next generation again.
Good. Sounds good to me. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, thank you. Can you explain a little more about this Venezuelan oil tanker and share a little more information?
Well, I'll let the people do it, but you see the result, and I guess they probably have released the pictures by now, or pretty soon. You'll discuss that with the appropriate people later on, but
No, it was seized for very good reason.
Sir, there's a new proposal from DHS that would see tourists from a lot of countries have to hand over 5 years of social media history to get a tourist visa. Are you concerned at all that if that's implemented, there would be a decline in tourism next year? And what sort of material do you think is...
We're doing so well. We just want people to come over here and safe. We want safety, we want security, we want to make sure we're not letting the wrong people come into our country. We're getting rid of a lot of bad ones from jails, from mental institutions, drug dealers. And we're getting a lot of bad people, murderers. 11,888 murderers, half of them, almost exactly half of them, committed more than one murder. We're getting rid of them. In some cases, we don't even want to get them out. We put them in jail because we're afraid they're going to come back into our country. We're not going to let them back in. So we've taken a very tough stand. And you see where we've been, like Washington, D.C. now, people walk down the streets. They go into restaurants at night. It's beautiful. It's like this beautiful thing to see because until I got here, this was a very, very bad place. We had a terrible thing happen 2 weeks ago with terrorism with regard to 2 National Guards people that are so phenomenal. One is no longer with us, and one, amazingly, we weren't looking with great hope on that, that Andrew. And today he got out of bed, actually, stood up, didn't say anything. It's a little early, but the chances of Andrew, other than his mother who said, nope, he's going to be okay. His mother was the most positive person. And could be that she'll be right. It's pretty amazing. Made progress. It was both of them were so badly hurt. We never thought that one could survive. So it looks like Andrew's doing pretty well.
The winner of the Nobel Prize dedicated the prize to you, the Nobel Peace Prize, and she left Venezuela at a very, very soon make it to the ceremony. There is a risk she could be arrested. Actually, what would happen if she's arrested? What message do you send, or would you send to Nicolas Maduro?
Well, arrested by who? The Nobel Prize Committee? That's probably the ones that would arrest. I don't know anything about it. She was very gracious. She said I should have gotten the Nobel Prize, and I don't, I'm doing this to save lives. I'm not doing it for any other reason. But no, I don't like if she would be arrested. No, I wouldn't be happy with that.
Mr. President, Senate Republicans currently have a healthcare proposal that would take away, let those ACA subsidies expire, and then put about $1,000 in people's HSAs. Do you think that is enough money, and how do you ensure that people who will see those tax subsidies expire won't see their healthcare costs skyrocket?
Well, the Unaffordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, they call it now the unaffordable because it's unaffordable.
Now go to shot at Obama. But it gotta be biting Obama in that order.
It was basically designed for the benefit of insurance companies. And what we're doing is we want all of the billions and billions of dollars that went to insurance companies to go directly to the people, and they can buy their own health care. And people love it. I don't know if the Democrats are going to approve it because they want the insurance companies to make money. It was a scam. Obamacare was a scam. But we're going to see. I mean, the Republicans, I can tell you, want the money to go to the people. And we're winning that battle. The Democrats having a hard time with it because they're in the pocket of the insurance companies. Yes, please. Yes, you spoke to some European leaders today, I think, sir. I did. Could you tell us about that? And is there a revised peace plan that Ukraine has presented? The leaders of France, we spoke to, and Germany, and UK, all very good leaders, very good friends of mine, and we discussed Ukraine in pretty strong words. And we'll see what happens. I mean, we're waiting to hear answers before we progress. You know, we're not spending any money in Ukraine. We're selling basically missiles and everything else to NATO, and NATO's paying us, and then they distribute it to who they want. I guess they're mostly distributing to Ukraine, but we're not spending money. But you know what we are? We're spending a lot of time and a lot of effort. Because last month, 27,000 soldiers were killed. Both, think of it, 27,000. That's if you take a football game and take half the stadium, that's 27,000. So 27,000 soldiers were killed. Russian and Ukrainian soldiers were killed. And I want to see that stop. We'll find out. Look, there are a lot of things happening right now. A lot of people say it's closer than it's ever been. It's a war that would have never started. If I were president, would have never started. It's a war that should never have started. But we'll have it figured out, I think, within a pretty short time.
You say very strong terms, sir. Can you explain that?
Well, I think we had some little disputes about people, and we're going to see how it turns out. And we said before we go to a meeting, we want to know some things. You know, they would like us to go to a meeting over the weekend in Europe, and we'll make a determination depending on what they come back with. We don't want to be wasting time. Sometimes you have to let people fight it out, and sometimes you don't. But the problem with letting people fight it out is you're losing thousands of people a week. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Mr. President, two questions. One, the oil tanker. Who owns that oil tanker?
You'll get that information later.
Okay, and have you spoken to Maduro since your last conversation?
No, I
It's
haven't.
only been one conversation.
No.
And when you say that the European leaders want to have a meeting over the weekend, are you talking about with Zelensky or with them?
With Zelensky and us.
And you said in an interview yesterday that you think it's time for Zelensky to start accepting things. What things are you talking about?
I think he has to be realistic, and I do wonder about, how long is it going to be till they have an election? It's a democracy. It's a long time. They haven't had an election in a long time. It's losing a lot of people. And it's possible that the people, if you look at the polls, I will say 82%, there was a poll that came out, 82% of the people are demanding a settlement be made, Ukrainian people. They want to see a settlement be made. I understand that. They're losing thousands and thousands of people a week. They want to see it ended. And I do say,
I thought you was going to end it with a one phone call.
That's not casting dispersions on anybody, but they do have a massive corruption situation going on there. And they do say, when are they, people are asking this question, when do they have an election? Are they going to have an election? Or are they going to just keep it going like this? So I think it's time to get that war settled. And I think it's a war that can be settled. But it takes two to tango.
Mr. President, I wonder about the new hires of Warner Brothers Discovery to make changes at CNN, big changes, and have you spoken to Jared about it? What are you doing with him, or get you sort of wall him off a little bit?
So what do you want to know?
What changes do you want to see at CNN under new ownership?
Well, I'm not involved in that. I will be probably involved, maybe involved in the decision. It depends. You have some good companies bidding on it. I think the people that have run CNN for the last long period of time are a disgrace. I think it's imperative that CNN be sold.
Oh, he on the
because you certainly
news.
wouldn't want to put people, just leave those people with some money, good money, and CNN so that, they can spend even more money spreading poison because it's lies. It's a disgrace. So I wouldn't want to see the same company
Trump and the
end
fake
up with
news.
CNN, the same company with money, because right now they don't have too much money. But they have value, I guess, based on the bids. They've got value. But I think CNN should be sold because I think the people that are running CNN right now are either corrupt or incompetent.
Oh,
Is that
wow.
having a factor in the decision making? Because we've got some.
Well, in my mind, but I can be talked out of that by some very talented people that we have, antitrust people. But I just think that the people that have run CNN into the ground, by the way, nobody watches, very few people watch. I don't think they should be entrusted with running CNN any longer. So I think any deal should be guaranteed and certain that CNN is part of it, or sold separately. But I don't think the people that are running that company right now and running CNN, which is a very dishonest group of people, I don't think that should be allowed to continue. I think CNN should be sold along with everything else.
Sir, you spoke about affordability earlier in your remarks and yesterday in Pennsylvania. How much more can we expect to see you on the road kind of delivering that message? And are you worried at all about the Democrats winning a couple more things in Miami and Georgia?
I don't worry about it. It's like statistically, it's amazing. When you win the presidency, even if you win by a landslide like we did, and even if you do a good job, and some people say we've done the best opening 10 months in history, in the history of the presidency. I think we have. Who's done better? We ended 8 wars. We have the strongest economy. We have $18 trillion coming in, which is more than any country had, times I think 5 or 6. 18 trillion is a lot even in your standard, right?
Yes, sir.
Even for that guy, 18 trillion is big numbers. But we have $18 trillion coming in. Pretty amazing, right? I think Qualcomm would be very impressed if they had even a little piece of that. So we've done a great job, but for whatever reason, and nobody's been able to give me an answer, when you win the presidency, you seem to lose the midterms. Even if you win the presidency by a lot and you do a great job as president. You know, some presidents have done good and they've lost, I think it's like 2 times in the last many, many years it's been won. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. Usually I can figure things out, but I don't know why, but that seems to be. But other than that, we should win because we're doing great. The economy is roaring. I think the economy is only going to go, better with all this money pouring in. We have factories being built, and forget about AI. We have AI more than anybody. We're leading AI by a lot. But we have many car companies coming in from Canada, from Mexico. They're closing up. They're coming in from Mexico. They're coming in from Canada, from Japan, from Europe, all over Europe, Germany, all over Europe. We're doing great. But for whatever reason, it doesn't matter how well they're doing, good and bad. The bad you understand, but even when a president's doing well, they seem to not do well in the midterms. So we're going to try and change it. There should be no reason for it. If anybody at the table can figure out, Bruce, a nice psychological reason, but so I want to win, and winning the midterms is important. People want us to win the midterms, and I think we have great spirit. We should win the midterms, yeah.
Under Joe Biden's administration, during COVID specifically, Biden removed the safety standards on abortion drugs. Now I'm hearing from a lot of pro-lifers that they're very anxious because yesterday Bloomberg reported that your FDA is slow walking a review of the abortion drugs that Secretary Kennedy promised.
Yeah,
How soon do you want to see that?
I'll find out. I'll ask them.
Do you want to see it?
I don't think they're slow walking anything, but I'll find out. Yeah.
Mr. President,
Any update on the clashes between Thailand and Cambodia, sir? Yeah, I think I'll have to make a phone call. I was going to say that the Thailand and Cambodia, one of the 8 that I settled, they've been fighting for a long time. They've been fighting for a very long time, many, many, many decades. But I got along great with both. I found they were 2 great leaders, 2 great people, and I settled it once. I think I can do it pretty quickly. I think we're scheduling a phone call tomorrow.
Mr. President.
With Thailand.
On the Fed chair.
With Thailand, if just to answer, Steve, with Thailand and Cambodia, I think I can get them to stop fighting. Who else can do that? Think of it. Settle 8 wars. Every once in a while, one will flame up again, and I have to put out that little flame. I have to put it out, but we're going to put it out again. So I think I'm scheduled to speak to them tomorrow and see if I can. It was unfortunate what happened. I mean, I know exactly what happened. It got it started a little bit, but we'll see if we can put it out.
We're interested in the seizure of this tanker. What happens to the oil on that ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You're a good newsman. Just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it was going? Was it going
Follow
to
it.
China?
Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true it's going to
But we're going to, I assume we're going to keep the oil.
Mr. President, on Fed chair, Kevin House said you were going to announce your decision within the next 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Maybe.
Are you doing your interviews with finalists today?
Well, I'm meeting with Kevin Warsh today, so I'm meeting with him. I sort of have a very good idea what I'm looking for. Again, I'm looking for somebody that will be honest with interest rates. That's all. I just want honesty. Our rate should be much lower. Our rate should be the lowest rates in the world. Because all these countries that you see, with low rates, many of them are low because of us. Because they suck so much money out of us. But that's not happening anymore. We should have the lowest rates in the world. And without us, none of them really exist as an economy. I mean, I can show you these really prime, really wonderful countries. They've had nothing but success. It's because they took so much out of the United States. I mean, it's one of those little problems. I want to see
that when we do well, we're rewarded for doing well, not the way it's been for the last pretty long period of time.
Are you asking these finalists to pledge to lower rates? Are you asking these finalists to pledge to lower rates if you become the chair?
No, I'll be asking questions and I'll be able to figure it out.
So just, we have 3 countries sending drugs to the US, Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. And you talked to the president of Mexico, you already talked to Nicolas Maduro. Have you considered talking to the president of Colombia, who you called a drug dealer?
No, I haven't really thought too much about him. He's been fairly hostile to the United States, and I haven't given him a lot of thought. He's going to have himself some big problems if he doesn't wise up. Colombia is producing a lot of drugs. They have cocaine factories that they make cocaine, as you know, and they sell it right into the United States. So he better wise up, or he'll be next. He'll be next too. And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next.
Trump say he's gonna be next. I hope he's listening.
Or he'll be next. He'll be next too. And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next.
He's telling him you're gonna be next.
Because we don't like people when they kill people, and they sell drugs. They kill them in the United States, and Colombia is a major manufacturer of drugs,
Trump
meaning
sends out a
cocaine in
warning.
particular, as you know.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Multiple House Republicans in recent weeks, days, have been critical of Speaker Mike Johnson. I wanted to ask you if you're still confident in the Speaker to keep his conference together ahead of the midterms, and how often are you speaking about him?
I think Mike Johnson is great. You know, he's had a majority of 2, 3, 4, then back to 2. We actually had 1, so we were 1 heart attack away from disaster. So everybody prayed for everybody's health. I think Mike Johnson's been a fantastic speaker. I mean, a very hard job because, you know, when you have a small majority, and we got the biggest bill in the history of our country approved, the Great Big Beautiful Bill. I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. There are different names for it, but to me it's a Great Big Beautiful Bill because it gives the biggest tax cuts in history, the biggest regulation cuts in history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. I think Mike Johnson's been a great speaker. I think few people could have done that job.
Do you want to see another big package move through Capitol Hill the next year, or?
Well, we don't need it because we got everything. You know, this was supposed to be 17 bills. And I think it was my idea, but, you know, with the concurrence of people that have done this a long time. And I said, why don't we make it 1 bill? Because it's very hard to get things approved by the Democrats. And it worked out because there was something good for everybody. If we would have done 17 bills, we wouldn't have gotten 1/3 of them approved. It was something great for everybody in the one, you know, the Great Big Beautiful Bill.
Yes, good to see you, Mr. President. I can follow up on the event last night in Pennsylvania. Huge crowd turned out there.
Big crowd.
It seemed like Rally Trump was in prime condition last night. You enjoyed it. Can you give me your thoughts on that? Then I do have a question on the gold card.
Last night was amazing in Pennsylvania. We had a tremendous crowd. It was like freezing. And the people, the thousands of people on the sidewalk trying to get in or the streets. It was an amazing evening, actually. And I think people really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. You can tell that.
I can tell that you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I really did. Well, you know, it's easy to enjoy when you do a good job. And, you know, when you can talk about things in a very positive way. It's hard not to say it. We have potentially the greatest economic boom in the history of the world. It's being built right now. And when it opens, there will be nothing ever in history like what's happening in our country. And, you know, Washington, D.C. is safe, and Memphis is now, look at Memphis, crime is down 60% in Memphis. We just got there 3 weeks ago. And we're going to have New Orleans. New Orleans was just sent a group of people there, and crime is down 28% in about 3 days. No, we do a good job, you know. And these are central casting people. These people they're very tough people if they have to be. They're very good. They're great patriots, but they are the toughest, and they don't take any nonsense. And every place we go, we knock down crime. Too bad that we could save Chicago very quickly. But even that, we're doing it on a minimal basis until, you know, at some point we'll just go in and do what we have to do if the governor doesn't wise up. They got a bad governor, they have a bad mayor. I would say they're both incompetent, but it's hard to believe that people don't want to stop crime. We could stop the crime in Chicago in about 2 weeks. Go ahead.
My question is on the gold card. And I apologize if I missed the answer to this. Is there a limit to how many gold cards these companies can buy?
Howard?
The gold card, the Trump
The
card.
program is part of the already approved visas. So we're just going to have great people come into this country. You know, the average green card holder earned less than the average American. So they were more likely to be on the dole and be on our assistance programs than average Americans. And the idea is from President Trump, he wants to raise it, bring in the best people into America. So same visas, but now just full of the best people.
Basically, it's a green card, but much better, much more powerful, a much stronger path. And a path is a big deal. Have to be great people, but much stronger path. And it also, in addition to that, helps companies, because not only for companies, but if IBM gets somebody #1 in his class at the Wharton School of Finance, and you're dying to get the person, but you can't guarantee the person stays in the country, because oftentimes they'll say, I'm sorry, sir, you got to get out of here, you have 24 hours, right? And you say, where's my employee? Now IBM can buy a card, and that employee can be there for essentially a very long period of time.
Mr. President,
It's so needed for the companies. You know, it's needed for others, but really it's basically a much better form of a green card. And you can't get green cards. They are impossible to get. This is much better than a green card. Yeah.
Yes, so did you tell Bruce Blinken not to run for governor, or that she should think about not running for governor?
I haven't spoken to, first of all, he's a friend, she's a friend. These are two great people running. In a way, I hate to see them running against each other. I hope they're not going to be damaging each other. But Alicia's fantastic, and Bruce they're two fantastic people. And I always hate it when two very good friends of mine are running. And I hope there's not a lot of damage done. Sometimes it works the other way. The victor ends up being much stronger because of it. A lot of times that happens. And
let's take time to double tap that screen, guys. If you're on a mobile device, double tap the screen or click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner. Hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel, man. Make sure you subscribing if you're new.
Politics.
You think it's in a couple months after you see the performance?
Well, I think in New York we have a convention toward the end of February, and I think you'll know pretty much at the end of February what's going to happen, and I'll probably have to, do what I want to do. But I hope he's running now, as you know, and she's running. We have two very talented people. Either one should win against the Democrats.
Mr. President, legacy story lately focuses on one of your cabinet members predicting that you're going to fire this one, you're going to get rid of that one. Of all your cabinet members, who would you perceive as the most under attack?
Well, I think my cabinet is fantastic. I read the same stories that I'm unhappy with this one or that one, and I'm not. I think the cabinet's done a great job. I read a story that I was unhappy with Pete because he was attacking drug dealers. I said, that's not exactly right. I would say very much the opposite. Pete Hegseth has been phenomenal. I read a story recently. I'm unhappy with Christie. I'm so happy with it. I mean, we have a closed border. We have a border that's the best border in the history of our country. Why would I be unhappy? She's fantastic, actually. No, we have a fantastic cabinet. Really fantastic cabinet. I mean, Lutnick I'll have to think about. No, can't have everything. Can't have everything. He's doing great. Well, Howard's done really well, and Scott's done really well. We have just a fantastic cabinet. I'll tell you who's doing a great job is Linda McMahon. We're bringing education back to the states where it belongs. Education is going, we can't do any worse than we're doing right now. Let the states run it. If you go back to some of our states that are run so well, so good. I would say 40 of them. And then you'll have trouble with 5, and you'll have bigger trouble with another 5. But you have 35 or 40 states that will run education as good as Norway or Denmark, Sweden. We have some, the heads of the list are Denmark, Norway, Sweden, a few others. I think if you go to Iowa and you go to Indiana and you go to, I can name a lot of states, I think it would be almost the equivalent to maybe better. But you can't run a school system in Iowa from Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Sir, the Gaza plan, when do you expect to announce the members of the Board of Peace, the leadership of that?
Well, we'll do it early next year. And the Board of Peace are it'll be one of the most legendary boards ever. Everybody wants to be on it. It's mostly going to be, I guess, we weren't thinking about it that way, but they want to all do it. Basically, it'll be the heads of the most important countries.
Mr. President,
They all want to be on. It wasn't really planned. We thought we were going to get very distinguished people that do that kind of thing for a living. But really, it looks like it's turning out to be, they want to be on the heads, the kings and the presidents, prime ministers, they all want to be on the Board of Peace.
Mr. President, on the video up to last night's rally, can you clarify, you have called the affordability crisis as a Democratic hoax, but you also want to make America affordable again?
No, the word that they use is a hoax, and because they're the ones that caused the problem. I'm talking about when you're trying to say it a different way. No, it's pretty simple though if you listen. It's a hoax where they created the problem. They're the ones that gave the high prices. So when they use the word affordability, they shouldn't be using that word because they're the ones that created this problem. They created the highest inflation in history, and they created the highest prices in history. And now we have to get those things down. But when they go, they look and they say affordability. They never discuss it. They just say the election's about affordability. Well, it may very well be. I think it's also about still the board. You have to remember the job. The sad thing is for 7 months, we've had no people come through our border. Nobody can even believe it. 0 people. And the people that do that are largely Democrats, which the people that do the stats. We've had no people come in other than coming in legally. But if you take a look, and nobody wants to talk about that. In fact, last night I said, let me talk about the border. My own people told me, sir, nobody cares about the border anymore. You've fixed the problem. I said, do I get a little credit for fixing a disaster where millions of people a month would flow into our country and, from prisons and from gangs and from drug dealers and mental institutions? They say, sir, you fixed the border. Nobody cares. I say, but I care. It's sad when you fix something and then you can't even use it. You can't talk about it. My own people don't want to talk about it anymore. But very simply, the Democrats created the worst crisis of inflation that this country has ever had. And with that came the highest prices that we've ever had. And I'm fixing it.
Mr. President, has Secretary Hegseth told you why he hasn't released the video of the second strike?
No, he hasn't told me. I thought that issue was dead. You're surprised you bring it up. You must be CNN.
Lawmakers are still talking about it on the Hill.
Are you CNN?
I am with CNN.
Oh, gee, I'm shocked.
Oh, you CNN? Still got a war on the CNN?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about lawmakers. Which lawmakers you're talking about?
Most of the Democrats have been talking about trying to release it.
I mean, the people that you work for, the Democrats? You work for the Democrats, don't you? You're basically an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
End the meeting, guys. CNN made him end the meeting.
Thank you guys.
Oh, wow. Hey, man, he do not mess with CNN. Trump do not mess with CNN. She said, oh, yeah, I'm with CNN. He ended the whole meeting, guys. Yeah, so that was Trump's cabinet meeting. That's crazy, y'all. Yeah, Trump ain't messing with the media. He said, no. All right, so with all of these other things we hear, some people say it's a distraction from the Jeffrey Epstein files. Well, just a little bit ago, a judge ordered the release of his documents. Let's talk about it.
That grand jury materials should.
request to unseal more.
We have some breaking legal news,
documents.
Justin. Another big development in the saga to release previously secret Epstein files. A judge has ordered the release of grand jury materials in that 2019 federal case against convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This was the case he was facing when he died behind bars. The ruling comes one day after a separate ruling that grand jury materials from the Ghislaine Maxwell prosecution can also be unsealed. MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin's tracking all of it for us. Lisa, another day, another ruling. So what happens now?
Well, this is the third of the three rulings that the Department of Justice was asking for in order to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And now, Anna, you have three different judges in two jurisdictions, all of whom are saying that the way that the act was written overcomes the general presumption that grand jury materials should remain secret. They say Congress knew what it was doing and that it plainly called for all files pertinent to various categories relating to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and that Rule 6E, that general presumption that grand jury materials should remain secret, has to fall to the more specific findings by Congress that these materials must be produced. But I want to underscore something. What's going to come out of this from the grand juries themselves are not expected to be revelatory. That's because a lot of the material shown to the grand jury was later either shown to jurors at trials and therefore became a part of the public domain, or has since become part of what we know about these cases. What's really going to be interesting here is the part about the materials that were otherwise protected under protective orders in the Epstein and Maxwell cases and the Southern District of New York in 2019, 2020, and 21. There are scores of categories of materials that the Department of Justice says are implicated by the modification of those protective orders. Those are things that were produced in discovery to Jeffrey Epstein and his lawyers and Ghislaine Maxwell and her lawyers, much of which hasn't become public before. And they include things like flight records, immigration records, records obtained from schools, all sorts of things that we might not have seen before, or at least we don't know how much of it has been in the public domain before. So I want to tell our viewers, keep your eyes not so much on the grand jury materials, but this other set of materials that currently is protected under a protective order, but which these judges say can also be produced by the Department of Justice to Congress, of course, with an eye at all times to the privacy and safety of the victims.
How quickly can we get our hands on this stuff?
Well, I think that in all likelihood, the Department of Justice is going to produce this stuff to Congress by the deadline of December 19th. That's that 30-day deadline provided for under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Do I expect that they will necessarily hit the dockets of these cases in federal courts before then? I don't. I think this is basically the court saying to the Justice Department, you now have permission to take these materials and deliver them to Congress. Whether Pam Dondi is going to do that on the 19th or some point before that, that's really up to the Department of Justice. And of course, another judge deciding yesterday, one more thing, that U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, before he produces any of the materials that could implicate victims' privacies, has to sign a sworn declaration certifying that the department has done everything that they could to ensure that victims' names, personally identifying information like their addresses, for example, or their professions, where they went to school, all that kind of stuff is redacted so that no victim, even if they've already been identified publicly, no victim can be identified from the production of these materials on
Which is the goal, I think, across the board. We're hearing from members of Congress, from judges, from lawyers, all of that. However, good to know that these materials have been green-lighted by these judges.
That's
and
right.
Again, that December 19th deadline, I had to look at the date today, just 9 days away. Yep. Thanks so much, Lisa Rubin, for the update.
All right, so that was a little bit on the situation. So it looked like the judges are applying pressure, guys, on Bundy and the rest of them to release those files. She was asked about it the other day. Check this out.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers is setting a new deadline for the Trump administration to update them on the release of more Jeffrey Epstein files.
Last month, President Trump signed the law requiring the Justice Department to release all unclassified records related to Epstein. That bill received overwhelming support in Congress. That happened, but now we are getting never before seen pictures and video of Epstein's private Caribbean island. The images and video were recorded back in 2020. House Democrats obtained these images from law enforcement authorities in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and it is that committee that released them earlier today.
NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor is on Capitol Hill tracking this one. Sahil, first, walk us through these new images. What are they both revealing, but also explain where they came from?
Yeah, Zinkley, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee just released these images and videos from Jeffrey Epstein's private island that are believed to be from 2020. They said they obtained these images and videos through a request to the U.S. Justice Department. I want to show a couple of these images here. Again, believed to be from 2020. One photo shows a blackboard with redactions to some words written on it in chalk. There are other words we can read that appear to say power, deception, and music. Another photo shows a room, appears to be a dentist office setup with masks of men's faces hanging on the wall. I think viewers here could be forgiven for not knowing exactly what they're looking at or how this plays into the overall investigation. But Robert Garcia, the ranking member, the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee responsible for the release of this, called the photos disturbing and said that his office is publicizing these to ensure public transparency in their investigation and to help piece together the full picture of Epstein's horrific crimes. Those are his words. Democrats also said they've received records from JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank and could disclose them in the coming days after reviewing.
And Sahil, I know you have new reporting on lawmakers asking Attorney General Pam Bondi for an update on the release of files about Epstein from the Department of Justice. Where do those things stand? Where do things stand with the documents?
Yeah, that's right, Kate. This is first to NBC News. I obtained this letter from 5 lawmakers spanning both parties and both chambers asking Attorney General Pam Bondi to give Congress essentially a status update on where they are in terms of producing the Epstein files. Remember that law was signed by President Trump after overwhelmingly passing Congress on November 19th, which gives the Justice Department just another 2.5 weeks before that 30-day timeline is up. So these lawmakers want to know if this new information that the AG says she has obtained regarding the Epstein files has any bearing on their ability to meet that 30-day timeline as required by law.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on...
All right, so there was some things on the Epstein files, guys. Look like we may be getting some documents as well as all the documents provided to the people. If it'll happen, I don't know, but that's what they say. All right, so we don't want to go too far from Trump in this oil tanker situation, guys. Remember, a while ago when we was watching, Trump announced the seizure of a big oil tanker, right? We got the footage and him talking about it. Check this out.
Breaking news to bring to you. President Donald Trump confirming that the United States has seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela.
As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people.
Senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, also retired Lieutenant Colonel Rachel Van Landingham, joining me now for more. So, Selena, what more do we know about the seizure?
Yeah, Kira, well, we're just learning from a U.S. official that the U.S. Coast Guard seized that oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, but we didn't get any further details from the president or the White House beyond that soundbite you just played there. The president calling this the, quote, largest one ever seized. But again, no further information on this. But the bigger context here is that all of this comes as the president has been escalating pressure on Venezuela's government, particularly the president, Nicolas Maduro. In recent weeks, the U.S. has launched more than 20 strikes on suspected drug boats, killing more than 80 people. And just yesterday, the president said that Maduro's days are numbered, and he has repeatedly said that strikes on land in Venezuela could be coming soon. We have also in recent weeks, Kira, seen a pretty massive show of military force in the region, a big U.S. military buildup, including deploying the massive aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, into the Caribbean Sea.
All right. Well, Rachel, clearly this is a major escalation between the U.S. and Venezuela. What's your reaction?
Well, this will definitely inflame tensions. And President Trump was on the phone with President Maduro last week, asking him to step down since the President Maduro isn't going anywhere. It definitely seems like we are inching closer to actually war with Venezuela.
Okay, so, I mean, how's that going to look? How do you think Venezuela is going to respond? Do you think the U.S. Is going to start moving in, in country?
Well, I would sure hope that the president would seek congressional approval before he invaded Venezuela. But he did meet members of his administration, including the Secretary of Defense and State, met with top members of the House and Senate Armed Services Committee yesterday. So I don't think they're planning a true land invasion with U.S. forces. I do think we may see missile strikes against particular drug storage facilities. But if he really wants to pressure Maduro to go away, he's going to need to do more than just missile strikes against some random drug facilities. And Kara, I do want to highlight that if the United States Coast Guard is able to interdict successfully, which it apparently has, a huge oil tanker, why isn't it interdicting the small drug boats that it's instead been, the Navy's been told to just blow out of the water since September? So it really seems that this really isn't about the drugs. This is about regime change against Nicolas Maduro. So this is dangerous, and we have U.S. forces and potentially going into harm's way. There are over 15,000 U.S. troops and the United States' largest aircraft carrier poised off of Venezuela.
So then, Rachel, just from your experience as a JAG officer, active military, how do you see this playing out? Is this, when you say headed to war, what does Maduro have to go back at U.S. assets, out in the waterways? Do you see this by air, by sea?
Well, I mean, I think the United States is, overwhelming superiority by the United States military against Venezuela. But as we saw with Iraq, we can't just expect to take folks out and for regime change to happen overnight. We do have the woman that just won the Nobel Peace Prize, right? Who was an opposition figure against Nicolas Maduro, but she's not even in country as far as I know right now, because she was accepting her Nobel Peace Prize. But it usually requires requires U.S. troops on the ground for something like regime change, which is something President Trump promised during his campaign that he wasn't going to do. We were done with overseas long involved engagements with the U.S. military. So it's really going to be interesting to see just what kind of military pressure the administration thinks they can bring to bear to actually force regime change without actually putting troops on the ground.
All right, stay tuned. We'll keep tracking it. Selena, Rachel, thank you both.
All right, so that was a little bit more on the boat strikes. Check this, not the boat strikes, but the seize of the tanker, guys. We actually got the video. Have y'all seen the video of the Army, basically, or the Navy, whichever one, U.S. forces taking over the boat, guys, the tanker. We most definitely got that. Check this out. It doesn't have any sound. I'm going to blow it up. Hold up. Give me a second. Give me half a second. We're going to get to it. Start here.
Says the United States has seized off the coast of Venezuela. In the Oval Office, Donald Trump was asked for details about that. And he claimed that it was, quote,
this is the actual video, guys, of the tanker we took over.
Reveal what that very good reason is or was. As for the oil on the tanker, Donald Trump said this, quote, well, we keep it, I guess, end quote. I don't even know what my question is.
Where to begin?
What happens next?
It's either sloppy or incompetent, or it's criminal. And I think it's gut check time again for America. And I think there's another important part of this that's happening is Trump is doing what he always does. He's stress testing the entire system. There's only, I think, 6 days left for Congress to be in session. So if they're going to have a War Powers Act vote on Venezuela, that has to happen in the next week. They're going to have a defense bill they have to pass. And he may be ramming Venezuela down their throat. Whether we're going to get questions for someone like Hegseth is also in the mix.
But what's the predicate for seizing the tanker?
I don't know. I mean, I never know what his predicate is. I mean, the thing I said to you a few weeks ago is he wants to attack Venezuela. He's made that clear, and he's building a narrative around it sloppily, inconsistently, badly in a lot of different ways. But the pieces continue to be put in place, and the pedal is to the metal. And I think we have to continue to underscore Congress hasn't authorized it. Most of the country is against it. Most of our allies are against it. But F-18s were miles off the coast of Venezuela, and he could start striking any minute. And the question is, will Congress do anything? Will they stop him? Will they slow him down? Admiral Halsey actually retires on Friday. Will we hear from him in the public now that he's not in uniform anymore? I think he will be a critical voice. But we need total transparency, and it's maybe the biggest test we've seen of the Senate and Congress in years.
Mary, let me show you what Senator Jackie Rosen said about Pete Hegseth's interest in all of this.
This is about respect for our country, respect for the rules of engagement, respect for our veterans, and especially for our active duty military. It's about respect and convention, and we need to be sure that we are doing what we need to do. Be sure that America is still that trusted and respected country around the world. Secretary Hegseth doesn't have the character or demeanor. He just likes to, I'm just going to say it this way, he just likes to show pictures of blowing up. I got a bunch of video games, if that's what he wants to do that don't put any active duty men or women in harm's way. He wants to blow up and put pictures of it up.
Say Hegseth want to blow stuff up.
Don't you dare put anybody in harm's way for your visual.
And I guess this is the most important part of the story. It's not about why he did or didn't seize the tanker. It's not even about what secret classified memo does or does not, in their minds, justify the second strike, killing two people who the administration themselves describes as, quote, distressed mariners, which meets the law of war definition of where the line is, where one doesn't strike. What about the men and women in the military who, for a million different reasons, have no voice in these debates? Is it legal? Is there any mechanism to have any oversight over what Donald Trump is doing in the region?
Well, I'm glad you focused on those men and women, because it's not Pete Hegseth himself, so far as we know, who's, actually the operator who's releasing these missiles that are killing these people and blowing these boats out of the water. It is the people underneath him, the people who are in our military, who are serving their duty. And this is not what they signed up for. I feel pretty confident that this is not what they expected that they would be doing when they entered the military at whatever rank they're in. And I think not only do these kind of operations, which cause the rest of the world to lose some respect for our military and feel distrustful of our military, not only could that have reverberations in other places where our military are operating and are relying on sort of the goodwill of the people who live there to, work together with them and not essentially attack them. It not only could have that kind of like possibility of physical harm, but there's also the possibility of exposure to liability. Now, I know the Office of Legal Counsel at the Department of Justice apparently has some legal memo out there that purports to make this all lawful, but that is not necessarily
this is the U.S. taking over that Venezuelan oil tanker, guys.
Particularly for things
Double
that
tap
are
that screen, get the lights
illegal.
up.
So, there's a lot that you can do when you are a government employee or a member of the military to rely on a legal opinion from the Department of Justice, and for good reason, right? People ought to be able to rely on that when they take official actions to insulate them from some culpability. But when what you see is so blatantly illegal, like the idea of killing people who are clearly in distress, who are hanging onto the side of wreckage in a boat, that undermines this notion that you can just rely on a legal opinion. And so this whole series of events is putting our military in jeopardy also when it comes to their own potential liability for these killings, these really murders, in my opinion. And it damages military civilian relations here at home. It impacts their families, military families who live throughout the United States and elsewhere, kids that go to school, right? The public here and abroad is absorbing everything that they're seeing, and that really impacts all of these families' ability to feel like they're parts of the community and not be ostracized. And so the impacts are really enormous and beyond. I mean, central here is we are killing people without any due process, and people who are not, we are not in an armed conflict with, but the reverberations go well beyond that.
Dan, you get the last word.
100% agree with Mary. As a former service member, 22 years, combat veteran, I needed to be sure, I needed to be confident that what I was being asked to do, being told to do by lawful order, was in fact lawful. We need to instill that kind of confidence in our service members when they are asked to do incredibly dangerous things, putting their own lives in harm's way. And, you know, when they're not confident, morale sinks. Esprit de corps sinks. I mean, no pun intended, given the context. But just having, for example, let's say Congress does authorize the use of military force against Venezuela. That still doesn't make it legal overall, because it still violates international law. And they have to be confident that what they're doing is not just yes because Congress says we can, or yes because the president says we can, but it's yes because international law says we can too. And it's the morally correct thing to do.
Crazy, guys. Yeah, man. So if we can get that video super fast like that, why come we can't get the one where they allege that Pete Hegseth committed a war crime by blowing up the survivors, allegedly? I'm just saying, we got that. That happened today. They hurry up and ship that over. That's the Venezuela oil tanker that the U.S. troops took over. We got that fast. It happened today. We got it today. Hegseth situation don't seem like we're gonna ever get it. It's gonna never come. I'm just saying, man, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, why that one didn't come that fast? Yeah, they're asking for Hegseth's job, guys. They want him up out of there. And before we get up out of here, man, we got Charlie Kirk, man, has dropped a book. His wife, Erica, has been on a lot of the news stations today, basically talking about him, and some say promoting this book. Man, double tap that screen if you have not. That's how you hit the like button, or you can click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner, hit that thumbs up. You know, it helps out the channel. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. Shout out to everybody in the building.
So Charlie Kirk strongly believed in observing the Sabbath to refocus on what truly matters.
It says very clearly in the scriptures, for 6 days you shall work, and the 7th day you shall rest. If you are feeling overrun by society, you might be feeling depressed or anxious, here's this one way that you might be able to improve. Turn your phone off for 1 day. No contact, no social media, no work. Your mental health will improve dramatically. You can hang out with friends, you can go for a walk, but don't work for 1 day. That is a day for worship. That is a day for the Lord. That is a day to go be with God. That is a day to read your Bible and be out of the busyness and the hurriedness and just the anger and the noise of this world.
Wow. So weeks before Charlie's assassination, he finished what would become his final book, Stop in the Name of God, why honoring the Sabbath will transform your life.
And Charlie's precious widow and a friend of ours and CEO of Turning Point USA, Erica Kirk, wrote the foreword, and she joins us now. Erica, I heard last night on Sean's show you said you haven't been able to read the end of the book yet. You're not there yet.
I'm not, because there's so many, you only get so many firsts and lasts in your life. Yeah. And so for me, this is one all tied together. It's the first that I'm reading, my husband's last and final book that he wrote. And when you finish that, that's the last time you read it.
Yeah, well, he wrote...
I mean, you read it again, but it's the last first.
Yeah, I loved this that he said. The Sabbath is God's answer to a culture spinning out of control. Mm-hmm. It is his ancient rhythm of sanity, planted like an anchor in a world swept away by currents of chaos. 6 days we work, build, create, engage. On the 7th day we stop, but not because we're weak. We stop because we're human. We don't rest because we're lazy. We rest because we're obedient. How did y'all do this? Because we were talking, I'd love to do this.
No, so again, Charlie, he took his time going into this, but he didn't write this because he needed to figure it out. He wrote this because it was already figured out, and he saw, wow, this changed and impacted my life. But I have to tell you something. I've really been praying about this because I feel as if Charlie wrote this book for me.
So have y'all checked out Candace Owens? She's most definitely been keeping up with this Charlie Kirk situation. To her, it's a lot of conspiracy theories. I even heard some mentions of Erica, guys. You know, how do y'all feel about that? You know, Candace thinks that this was an inside job. Somebody may have set Charlie up, and people inside of his own circle may have did something to him. That's how she feel about it. How y'all feel about it? Let me know.
These are his last words written that were on his heart. He finished this in July when we were together as a family. And I can't help but think, when you read this book, he's basically saying, like, I am getting so much noise from everyone. And you guys get this too. You get the echo chamber. You get people analyzing everything about you. They think they know everything about you. They know nothing about you. They see you on TV. They think, oh, she's this, she's that. He said this, he said that. And honestly, it's Charlie saying, baby E, just stop. Stop. You don't have to answer to every single person that's accusing you of things or saying that you're doing this or grieving a certain way. Baby, just stop. You know who you are and whose you are.
Could this be a direct response to Candace, guys? You know, she's ridiculing them right now. It was this person, it was that person. You know that Erica gotta be done heard something about it. It's all over social media. Could this be a direct response?
You have to answer to every single person that's accusing you of things or saying that you're doing this or grieving a certain way. Baby, just stop. You know who you are and whose you are, and I'm here. I see you. And if Charlie, and I'm taking a page out of his book, if he answered to every single critic and didn't stop and put his phone down and breathe and rest with the Lord, he'd get nothing done. He would not have built Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action.
And I read in your book that when in Charlie's book, when he said, at first, when Dennis Prager, I guess, played a big role in that.
He did. Dennis did.
What an unbelievably bright individual,
Love him.
great
Dennis
guy.
is precious.
And he said, you know, you got to do this. And he thought, how can I do this with the president calls? You know, he's running Turning Point Action, Turning Point. I got to set up this college tour. If I shut off my phone, how many things wouldn't get done? And then when he shut it down and then put it on, there was only 2 messages.
But if you think about it, people,
and it's true, though.
You're almost like training the people around you to say, hey, this is how life used to be. You left the office at 5. No one could reach you.
Yes.
I mean, you had a beeper, but like no one could reach you until the next morning. But it's retraining the world. You used to have blue laws. Like, it's retraining the world to say, okay, at 5 o'clock, unless it's an emergency, give me a phone call. I'm not going to respond to your text message. I'm with my babies. I'm putting the kids to bed. I'm spending time with my husband. I'm fixing the generational gap because I want to be able to show them rest and importance. You're a priority, not my office.
You know, Erica, Charlie and I, we're from the same generation of young conservative. You as well. And there's a list of people that are there in the movement waiting for who's going to be the next leader of the movement, who's going to get these young. Do you feel like these were the words that were almost prophetic in the sense of 100%. He left these as like a guide for the movement?
100%. Lawrence, you're absolutely right. And you know it too. You can have all the political stances that you want. You can be able to make all of the different strategy and political moves that you want. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we are human.
Right.
We are so fragile and we are human. We are not machines. So if you think that you're going to just be so productive and so busy.
Can we get 30 more people on that like button, guys? Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click the 3 dots in the right hand corner, man. And most definitely ask yourself, how you subscribe to the channel? Subscribe to the channel, man. Can we get 500 on the like? Shout out to everybody in the building. This is Erica Kirk, basically speaking on the unaliving, you know, how she's dealing with in this new book that's coming out by her husband, Charlie Kirk, guys.
Because you're getting your to-do list done. What are you actually doing? No, you're just one of 1,000 in a million. If you really want to be used in a way that is so profound to change this world, you have to press pause and you have to be able to listen to the Lord, listen from the Lord, be able to have people around you that will pour into you, that will mentor you, that will love on you, and say, you know what? This world that's so noisy right now, go ahead and keep talking. I'm taking a pause because I need to know who I need to be as a leader in order to lead. I can't just keep following down this path and expect to be able to make a difference with the youth.
Yeah, Eric, I cannot imagine what you're going through. You found the love of your life, and that's the goal for all of us, right?
I know.
You did, and he was taken so early. What do you miss most? How are his parents doing? Because his parents are private. We saw them for the first time at the funeral.
Yes.
You did such a beautiful job there. How are all of y'all doing? You talk a little bit about the kids, but how's your mom doing? I mean, I know she's devastated for you.
My mom is Charlie and my mom. Well, Charlie's family's there. Everyone's hanging in there. We're doing the best to be expected. My mom and Charlie, they were best friends. I would always say that Charlie was her favorite child. But the thing that was so special about our Sabbath dinners was that it wasn't about religious protocol. It was literally going to my mom's house. My mom's battling a very rare illness. It was literally going to my mom's house for dinner with my mom. It was, again, bridging that generational gap where my kids don't have phones. They're not looking at iPads. They're not looking at screens. We're sitting together and we're talking and we're loving on each other. How was your week? What were your wins? What are you grateful for? We went around the table and talked about that. And that was what was so special about our Friday nights. And Charlie was like, we have our Friday nights. But it's interesting, what I miss the most, what really just hits me hard is when I'm in the grocery store and I see his hot sauce. I want to buy it. Or it's the little things, his clothes everywhere. Excuse me, but it's the little things. And I know that people who have experienced loss totally understand what I'm saying. It's the small things that just get you. It's the visual of, Daddy coming home, and to the world he was Charlie Kirk, but to us he was my love of my life and my children's dad. I'm so sorry.
Understandable.
Excuse me, but it's those little things where, again, he would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us. And that's what I always wanted to make so special for him, was coming home. I'd always say, baby, I don't care what time you get home. Home is here for you. Your food will never be cold. It might sit out for a little bit, but I'll reheat it. It's fine. And I just want to encourage
prayers for her and her family,
spouses.
guys.
Don't get mad. It's so easy. Don't do it.
Here's an excerpt from the forward in your book. You write this: I knew Charlie so deeply in a way no one could. That is why I can say with certainty these pages are not theory for him, they are testimony. The words you hold in your hands were the convictions he lived by that were written on his heart. Looking back now, I see the book as one of Charlie's most enduring gifts to the world. He did not know how brief his time on earth would be. None of us did. But the truths written in this book are not bound by time. They will outlive us all, as will the legacy of his faith. And in the book, he goes into details about the Bible.
Yes, he does. He does. It's really powerful. He became a subject matter expert, if you will. We have 50 plus books on our bookshelf about the Sabbath, and he spent a lot of time talking to Dennis Prager about this. He learned as much as he could, and again, he implemented it in his life because he knew that it was something that communication is everything. And so when he was on campus, he knew talking to people was very important, especially the youth. We don't communicate with each other anymore. So something as simple as talking goes viral because no one talks. And the miscommunication is out of control. And so he was so good at communicating and understanding and bridging that gap. And for him, this book was one of those moments where, okay, if you have communication mixed in with people, turning off the noise and the chatter and actually resetting and rehumanizing, putting those together is a beautiful symphony of how this country can heal. And he knew that, and that's why he wanted to share it with everybody.
Eric, I want to show you a moment because you were just talking about your kids.
Yes.
And the last Kirk to sit there was actually Charlie Kirk when he came to fill in. Here's this beautiful moment of your daughter running in to see her father.
Oh,
Let's play
after
it.
the show, right?
Mm-hmm. It's so sweet.
What do you make of that?
I'm just glad that I know she's young, but she's so smart, and I'm so glad that she had that moment. She would always listen to his speeches. I always had his show playing. I laugh when people are like, do your kids watch TV? I was like, well, yeah, they watch either Daddy's show or they're watching Bob Ross, because he has a very nap-inducing voice.
Yeah.
But it was special. It was so special.
I mean, he hosted 8 hours that weekend, so it's a 4-hour show.
I love that video of her.
I know.
Her little pigtails.
I know. It's so
And
sweet.
that story, that's where y'all met, Erica.
He
Did you
loved
know
our
you were going to
baby
marry
so
him
much.
in that moment? Because he said, I don't want you to work for me.
No, I want
to
date you. No, I fell in love with him so quickly because he was so direct. The Lord knew I needed a man that was not going to mess around, that was not going to say, let's see where it goes. Let's go get coffee. Let's go get drinks. We never drank. It was like one of those things where it was like, no, I want to date you. I want to marry you. I'm pursuing you intentionally. And that's what's so important for a lot of young people today that are looking for their spouses. Don't waste your time. The right person will literally say, I know that this is something special. Let's honor the Lord. Let's do this right. I'm not going to treat my boyfriend like my fiance and my fiance like my husband.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do this the right way. And that's what we did. And we just wanted our relationship to always honor and glorify the Lord.
You know, Erica, can you walk us through? It's something that Ainsley, Brian have talked about, forgiveness, right?
Yes.
And it's for us on a
that
personal
moment at the
level.
funeral.
We can't forgive people for less. But you had so much. How did you get to that point where you could forgive on a national stage?
Like I told Andrew, that was something that was a game time decision. I'm not going to just say, words are so powerful. I mean, God created the world with words. Words are very, very powerful. And to me, I'm never going to say something I don't mean. Charlie was the same exact way. He would tell you just how it is. And it's, again, faith is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And I am not going to let the enemy have a foothold in my life. How am I supposed to be the mother I need to be? How am I supposed to be the leader of Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action, the youth, when I myself have a deep, unrooted, horrible, nasty hate in my heart? I cannot operate with hate in my heart. No one can. No one can be fruitful with hate in your heart. And that does not mean we're weak.
Right.
That does not mean we're weak. That does not mean we forgive. I will never forgive that. I will never forget that. Sorry. I will never forget.
She told the truth. She'll never forgive that. She said she did, but she didn't. I know she didn't. I wouldn't either. I don't blame her.
Right.
That does not mean we're weak. That does not mean we forgive. I will never forgive that.
I believe you.
Not mean we're weak. That does not mean we forgive. I will never forgive that.
Yeah, that was on
Does not mean
mine.
we're weak. That does not
You
mean.
know how you have something on your mind that just it accidentally slip out? That was one of those. She wanted to say she absolutely forgive, but yeah, her true feelings came out, allegedly, in my opinion. Yeah, she absolutely don't forgive that. I wouldn't either.
We forgive. I will never forgive that. I will never. We forgive. I will never forgive that. I will never forget that. Sorry. I will never forget that. I will forgive it, but that's because I know that the Lord is just.
She's still battling with herself, y'all. She battling with herself.
We're weak. That does not mean we forgive. I will never forgive that. I will never forget that. Sorry.
She got to drill it into her own head.
I will forgive it, but that's because I know that the Lord is just and sovereign. But it's one of those things where people need to understand that hate is very powerful, but love is more powerful.
So how interested are you in what went off in this guy?
I see somebody down there saying she has to forgive. She knows she has to forgive. Yeah, that's the right way. But, you know, her heart is affected, man. Her kids is affected. Yeah, I don't blame her either way. I'm just saying.
The suspect that allowed him to do such a heinous act. Like, that's what I ask myself almost every day. What prompted that?
At the end of the day, we
individual
only
to
human,
get on
guys.
that roof and end your husband's life? Do you have questions about that, or have you just socked that away for leave it to the lawyers?
No, if you think about it, everything starts small. Okay, so when you start believing in something or diving into something, it starts with a small little seed. So is that seed going to be something that was planted and go towards the light and go towards the Lord? Or is that seed that's planted that's going to go towards evil and darkness? And it starts with one little inch that just keeps growing and growing and growing. and you have a choice in life. And again, Charlie was trying to save the exact man that murdered him by trying to reach that generation and say, there is a different way to live. There is a way better and healthier and pure and beautiful, truthful way to live. Why are you wasting your time with brain rot? Why are you wasting your time with things you know are so unhealthy, so unproductive, so divisive, so evil, when there's so many other things you can be focusing on that you can build and that you can harness for good? Why are you wasting your short time? My husband lived for 31 years. That's it. We don't have a lot of time here at all. But if you spend that time on things that are beautiful and true and good, that is how our country can heal and start going forward in a way, in a direction that we never thought could be possible, because the Lord can use that. If you just let that little seed in your life go towards hate and evil, we're on a totally different path.
Yeah. We're watching you go through all of this, and I want you to know there are always going to be the naysayers. There are going to be the people that might question this or that about that day. And we know some of those headlines, but it's always bigger in your head. Someone told me that when I got into this business. It's always bigger in your head than it is to the rest, because most of the people aren't following the headlines or like you are or like we are. And when I got in the business, people would write, not to make it about me, I'm just trying to say this to help you. They would write the most negative things, and I would just be so upset about it.
It's hurtful.
Because I'm like, this trying to be this good Christian girl, trying. I make mistakes every day. I sin.
We all do.
But I'm reading these negative things, and it really, really bothered me, especially the personal ones when I'm going through the deepest things.
Yeah.
But then I realized they don't know me. Even the ones who love us, bless their hearts, they don't really know us either.
Don't.
So the people who really matter are God, our family, the people who do know us. And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
So all the negative press, I think Charlie's right. I think Charlie's teaching you this week.
I know. Just saying stop. You don't have to respond to every single thing.
Yes.
I mean, it is
Focus
nasty
on
out there.
Because there are 5% of the people that might not like Charlie's message. The rest of the country, they might not always agree, but they're proud of him for standing up. They're heartbroken for you and your family. That's normal. That's what a human being does.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Erica, can you talk about the next phase of Turning Point? Because Charlie focuses on young men. There's a crisis going on in the country when it comes to young men. Abandonment, weren't taking their places in the household. And now you're focused on young women.
Correct.
How's that task been? You've always been a writer. You've always had things to say, but you kind of focused on the family for a long time. People that knew you, we knew that you had all these thoughts. But how has the leadership role been for you now?
It's powerful because there was no daylight between Charlie and I, so I witnessed everything firsthand, front row seat. Charlie did have a phenomenal way of communicating with the young men of Gen Z and millennials, actually, honestly, every generation, to be quite frank. I have noticed that there's been an uptick in the women's interest in Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action, to be expected. But again, I view it as a holistic thing. You can't just focus on the female and you can't just focus on the male. There is a beautiful balance of having the two turn into one of, you're an American. You're an American.
That's right.
And so for me, something so important that we are going to continue to do is civil discourse, debate, dialogue. So important. If you cancel people and you say, you can't say that, why can't I say that? Tell me more. You have to counter bad ideas with good ideas. You have to have that debate and dialogue. And I can't have, what I do not want to have happen is someone say, well, I'm afraid to talk to that person because X, Y, Z, and I don't want them to be platform. It has nothing. If we don't communicate and combat each other in a very civil discourse way of discourse, dialogue, that is where we get in trouble. And that's where this whole side that you have to continue that. So that is very important to me. From the female standpoint, it's being able to show them that being a mother is not a weakness. That is a superpower, if anything. When you are a mother, something ignites within you that transforms and transcends you and beyond. That is so important to me. And I have to be honest, being a mother myself, we just came back from our gala this weekend. We had 2 students on stage, precious students, the mother bear inside of me is like, if you want to go after these kids, if you want to go after the youth, you have to go through me. I'm not going to let you touch these kids on college campus. We just had Governor Abbott in Texas. We have other governors throughout the country that are saying.
Told you, Governor Greg Abbott has inked a deal with Turning Point USA for schools in Texas.
Club America will be on our high school campuses. That is unbelievable.
Right.
Because that means that these kids, male, female, have the opportunity to be exposed to the truth, learn how to debate, learn how to stand for their convictions and what's on their heart, and they're not afraid. And that's what I need, is for these young kids to not be afraid.
And also to buy this book. It's called Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life, at 45books.com.
So that was Erica Kirk, guys, on her husband, man. All right, so we went over the Venezuelan boat strikes and the Pete Hegseth situation they got going on. Look like people are calling him to resign. Trump say he ain't do nothing wrong. We also heard Trump's roundtable meeting as well. Shout out to Miss Keisha. We also listened to that. We found out a whole gang of stuff today. We heard what the Republicans had to say involving healthcare, as well as the Democrats. Look like they ain't gonna never come to an agreement on that anytime soon. I say never because it seems like never. They never agree on anything these days. Everything is a big debate. Everything is going absolutely nowhere. They need to sit down, come together, and figure out a plan to help out, the American people. That's what it's supposed to be all about. All this bickering back and forth about nothing with each other, when they should be taking time to consider and do things to help us, the American people. But anyway, y'all, so I fulfilled everything in my title. Man, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Most definitely be back again. This is Everything News with everything that's going on in the news today. I hope y'all enjoy it. Once again, shout out to my old subscribers as well as the new ones. Shout out to all of my members, old ones and new ones as well. And most definitely shout out to my moderators for keeping this chat running smooth. Sometimes I don't know what I'd do without y'all. With that being said, Sidewalk Gang, checking out. I catch y'all on the next one. If y'all subscribe to the channel, make sure you turn on your notification bell to all so you don't miss anything when Everything News goes live, man. I catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be safe. I'm gone.